Now that I'm getting my 80-meter antenna back up on the air, I expect to get even more amazing sound clips like this to turn into songs. And yes, this is all samples that I pulled off the ham radio bands. Oh man, didn't cough a lot on the live stream. I muted myself, but that one came on a little fast. I apologize. What's up, everybody? Oh yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the after chat here. This is just an intimate get-together here, hanging out on the internet, talking about amateur radio. Our goal is to always try and answer questions for people getting started in ham radio. Normally, we focus the whole beginning of the show just on newcomers with the questions they have and the trials and tribulations that they're going through, and trying to find the best path through that forward so that they can get on their way to having fun with radio, because we absolutely love it. With that said, because we do have an interview, right? We talked to Thomas Witherspoon. We're going to be focusing on making sure we ask questions to him if he, anything anyone wants to ask of him. So I'm going to join the Discord now, and we're going to try and engage with Thomas as much as possible.
The brain just starts to just do its own thing in its language center. So,
yeah. Hey, Josh.
Howdy, everybody. How's it going?
It's going well.
All right. So I already mentioned to kick things off that because we have Thomas with us, I want to make sure that we use we capitalize on his time. So if there's any questions for Thomas, or he's already answering questions, let's just keep that train going and keep that happening. So anybody in here who'd like to ask Thomas a question, make sure you get in there. Go for it.
I have a Workbench question, but it doesn't need to go first.
Well, you're the first one to mention it, so you might as well. It's a first. It's first in, first out, as far as this is concerned.
Yeah, I follow you and the Ham Radio Workbench crew, and I was just curious how that's coming along with your new Workbench that you're putting together.
Yeah, so I appreciate that. It's one of those things that I'm doing, and I realize I only kind of get one shot at it, as I don't want to build a second one and attach it to the wall and do everything. So I'm really trying to do it right on the first go. And my wife has prioritized some other DIY things we're doing around our house right now. So I've had to put the Murphy bench off just for a little bit, maybe about a month. And then what I plan to do is actually take it. I've got most of the basic plans drawn up. I'm actually going to take it to a friend's house. He's a woodworker, and I've always told people I'm kind of a gross motor skills wood guy. Like, I can frame and do stuff like that, but I'm not good with trim
anything out
carpentry.
with a sawzall, right? Is that?
That's all. I'm good at that. Yeah, I can be blindfolded and just go to town with a sawzall.
I'm good at demo too. I get it.
Yeah. The universal key.
Demo. So. But I'm not that great with some of the really fine woodworking, and I want this to look really good because it's going to be in my office and, Radio Shack / office. So I'm taking him to my buddy Mike's house. He's got just wonderful tools for doing this. He does some really high-end stuff, and so I'll take it there and probably have him look over my shoulder and probably take over from time to time as I use his tools. But I want it to look really nice. It is coming together, though. I'm planning to put a shelf underneath it, and I'm kind of measuring off how high I want the shelves to be for the types of books I got, like handbook, the ARRL handbook and things like that. They're kind of large.
Right.
And I'm looking forward to having a dedicated workbench space.
That's awesome. I haven't heard the whole background here, but I heard Murphy, so it's going to be a fold-out design. It's
a fold-out design like a Murphy bed,
right?
But it's a little bench, and I mean, I got to be honest, like, I really thought this out over the Ham Radio Workbench podcast. We didn't talk about it
Nice.
too much beforehand because we really wanted to do it in the podcast and kind of discuss it. And, there were some really big points that came up in that I hadn't considered. Like George said, where are you going to put the monitor? And I was like, monitor? Right. Like I do need a monitor in there because I'm always like looking at something like a schematic or instructions or something like that. And I've got to figure out a way to do it maybe with like a small tablet screen or something. But
Now, is this primarily going to be like a workbench for projects, or is it going to be an operating space, or both?
it's going to be a place that I can fold out and literally just put a project on there, work on it, fold it back up, fold it back out, work on it some more. So it's a dedicated space. Right now, it's my dining room table. Our house is not very big. We built this house we finished building it in 2011, and we purposely didn't make it too large because we just we wanted like kind of open plan and everything in it. And one of the negatives is we just my office, I carved it out, and my wife kept saying, you don't really need that, we could use that and make our pantry bigger. And I said, I need an office with a door I can close
Yeah.
if I want to. And so that became it has a lot of vertical space in it. It's like 9-foot ceilings, but it's just not very big. And the Murphy bench is the easy way to make it work because the table where I have all my radio gear, I do use it on occasion for doing soldering projects and stuff, but it really does make it impossible for me to do other things like write on my my desktop and use other things. So
I've always told people if they want to put a shack together and workbench space, having an operating position is actually it requires less space than you think it does, and depending on how many monitors you use, it doesn't take up that much space. It's when you start getting into
yeah,
like having projects like soldering projects, antenna projects,
yeah,
and all that stuff. And if you're going to have, which inevitably is going to happen, you're going to have multiple radios on the bench. You're going to be working on lots of stuff. Having a lot of flat surfaces and a very deep workbench space, deep being the key word, really
yeah.
valuable. A lot of shelves, really, really important.
Yeah, and this is going to be very modest in size. It's not. It will be very small. I can't remember the
Sure.
dimension in inches, but maybe like 32 inches wide or something. So I'm just going to be able to keep inside the bench when it's closed up. It'll have the soldering station in there
Nice.
and like probably a little power supply, variable power supply, and some other things. But I want to design it so that when I fold it up, the stuff that I stick in there stays in there. So that it is a dedicated space, because that's what I really miss now. I kind of take over like I said, take over the dining room table, and my wife, like, she gives me like 2 days with that, and she's like, okay, this stuff's got to go. And then the worst thing is, I'll go out of the house to do something, I come back, she's like, I organized it in that box for you. I'm like, oh no. Like all my little parts and like resistors and things that were sitting out. She's a real neatnik. She likes things really organized and neat, and so I realized I need to have my own space for it.
Have you ever seen the video that Adam Savage did on his portable soldering station that he made out of wood?
No,
You should go
no,
look
I
that up. And
haven't.
the whole thing runs off of a drill battery. He shoves a drill battery into it, and that runs the whole thing. So, like,
Okay.
I'm getting vibes like that. Like, this would be a really good video. Like, once you get all done with this, like, your tour of that,
Yeah,
people
yeah.
will lose their minds on this, like, fold-out workbench. It's going to be great. That's going to be really cool. Definitely make
Yeah,
a video on that.
Thomas, you need to check out Tested. It's Adam Savage's YouTube page, and he has this whole one-step retrieval system that he has, where everything is one step, get something. It just takes one thing for him to reach over and grab something, and then he also has this system called the Sortimo, and you can. It's a very complex system of sorting things, like your screws and your just your knickknacks that you've got. And
Yeah.
people have done it, have put together a poor man's Sortimo with bins from Harbor Freight, and they've put together
Oh,
this very poor man's Sortimo. So just if you get time, search on poor man's Sortimo, and just go to Adam Savage's Tested not website, but his YouTube channel. And about every I want to say every probably fifth or sixth video he does a shop tour where he just shows every part of his shop and how he has everything organized, and it's mind blowing, absolutely mind blowing.
Oh, I just subscribed to this. I never knew about this channel. The truth is, I don't watch a lot of YouTube channels
Sure.
outside of. I'd end up not watching a whole lot because we just don't have a lot of time, and I usually watch stuff with my family. And so I've signed up for this. Of course, I'm subscribed to Ham Radio Crash Course, but
Of course.
oh, of course, as one does. I love this. I love Adam Savage. The guy's just incredible. Thank you for that tip. Thank you.
There's also
No
a
problem.
really cool system called Gridfinity. It's like a 3D printed system. Oh,
Yeah.
store anything in it.
That's the guy who's got
Gridfinity.
the eyeball, like the teleprompter right on his eye.
Hell yeah.
That dude is his videos are amazing.
Zach Friedman, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that guy is insane with his organization too.
Oh man, I'm looking at this now too. Wow. I like this. Yeah, this is really cool. There's a company I met. I went to the Shelby Ham Fest, which is like it's probably the largest ham fest in North Carolina, I'm sure. And I can't think of the name of the company. They're based out of Raleigh-Durham area, and it's a ham, and he has like a system that's sort of like those pegboards that you would see like on a like on a wall or whatever, like a normal pegboard, like a shop pegboard, but it's small 3D printed things that you put projects on. So like you put like your Arduino on there, a Raspberry Pi, some other kind of component that you're using for a project. And it basically makes a portable project board that's modular, and you snap things down on it. And it's actually really cool. It's a really simple idea, but just beautifully implemented.
Yeah.
I need to think of the name of them again. I'm going to try to look them up. They were actually in that holiday shopping show on Ham Radio Workbench. I think it's one of the sort of toward the end of that one.
Nice.
I think I'd mentioned them because they were on my mind.
All right. Well, we've got Thomas here, Thomas Witherspoon from the live stream we just wrapped up, and I want to make sure we use his time effectively. So, if there's anybody who has questions for him on PAX or anything related to his videos or his multiple websites and blogs he runs, we'd love to hear it. So, if anybody's out there, go for it.
Well, I hope to see you at Dayton, Thomas, and I'm curious if you've ever been to 4 Days in May, and if you are planning to go this year.
Yeah, I love 4 Days in May. It's and so for people who don't know, that is a QRP conference from the QRPA RCI. I'm a member of them, and they have incredible presentations. So basically the way it works is the day before Hamvention starts, so the Thursday before, they actually have presentations all day long, and it's usually at the Holiday Inn in Fairborn. Is that the name of the town? Which is right there on the Xenia side of Dayton. And I have not been able to go to one of their presentations in a long time, but I go to their evenings. So they have like a club evening where clubs show off different projects, and they have a vendor evening where people can bring in like all their QRP stuff and sell them. They have and they actually have a really cool homebrew contest. So Adam, have you been there before?
I went last year and I had a blast. I actually presented last year, and I'll be presenting again this year. So
Excellent.
it should be a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, and Dave Kripe is a really good friend of mine, and that guy. Do you know NM0S very well, Dave Kripe?
I wouldn't say I know him well, but I've met him through his invitation to come to 4 Days in May, and then I met him there and have occasionally chatted with him other than that. But yeah, I would agree. My impression is just that he's a genuinely good dude.
He is, and he is the guy that he's like the modern day MacGyver. Like he is incredibly brilliant and such a nice guy. And if the world ever goes wrong, like you want to be his neighbor, because the guy could just he could piece together a radio with just like the stuff he finds in a shoebox. He's incredible.
Yeah, well, I think Josh, you did a kind of a group build on the Cricket, right? And I think the Cricket was designed by David.
It was.
I think I built the 40 and the 30, or the 40 and the 20. Yeah, good radios. They're lots of fun, particularly for people that are new to soldering.
So Dave actually, when I built my Cricket, he was sitting across from me in the Hotel Pennsylvania in Manhattan for the Hackers on Planet Earth conference. He and I were both presenting there, two different presentations, and I wanted to like relax before my presentation by soldering, because I find it like one of the most relaxing things I do.
Oh,
I was like, I'll build a Cricket. And then Dave came and sat in front of me, and I was like, boy, talk about like putting the pressure on.
All the
like the
zen
kit
of
designer
soldering is
standing
gone.
across me, you know. But it's such a fun and such a cool build, and he's such a great guy. I mean, he's wonderful.
That's awesome.
But I plan to be there for the evenings this year. I think I'm going to be there probably Friday and Saturday at Hamvention too. Probably not Sunday, because my buddy Eric and I want to do a big park rove, maybe into Indiana or something, to pick up some new parks. So yeah, that's what I plan to do. I'm glad you'll be there. It'll be nice to meet you.
Yeah, indeed. Likewise.
So somebody asked, how many POTAs do you do a week, Thomas, or activations?
It really depends. So like this week, how many did I do this week? Maybe 3 this week. My activations are always usually very short, and I do. My activations are hardly ever going to be over an hour. And this year, I haven't been doing as many. I did my first SOTA activation of the year today, and it's because I happened to just have basically the Saturday off. So I went to one of the further away summits. It's only a 2-point summit, but it's a really fun hike, and so I went away to that one. But POTA, it just depends. Usually I try to do like 1 or 2 a week, but really it just depends. I literally fit them in. Like I say in my videos all the time, like, this is kind of an impromptu activation. I really mean that. Like, maybe 15 minutes beforehand, I'm like, yeah, I think I can fit in a park activation on the Blue Ridge Parkway or
Cool.
Pisgah National Forest or something. And so I'll maybe schedule it if I know that I'm not going to have cell phone reception there, so that the reverse beacon network will pick me up, and I do it. There are some drive-up summits I could do, but I just don't get into drive-up summits too much. I have done, like, there's one that I go to, but the whole thing for me with SOTA is just, it's kind of fun doing the hike and everything. So
Right on. There's a question, and this is a good one to come back around every once in a while. On Battlefrog, ask HRCC Discord noob question: is there a protocol for asking questions beyond PTT to come off of mute? So it's kind of like a repeater. We kind of treat it like repeater talk here. So when I eventually I come around and say, hey, do we have any more questions? And then usually people will say their name or their call sign or whatever, and then I'll come back to them. But Battlefrog, since you asked the question, it sounds like you have one. Why don't you go ahead and ask it, and just PTT and start talking.
First, hello guys. I'm new to this. Don't have a license yet. I'm working on it. Thomas, I find your videos very cathartic. And it's inspired me to go down that path. So I've gotten a few pieces. So first, thanks for that. I know you just got a new AX2, so I'm looking forward to seeing an activation with that. And then the last thing, I know you were mentioning the Pico Palm, being interested in that, and I published it during the YouTube chat. You can get it. I found a new one from the original designer on eBay just literally last Sunday. And every couple of weeks he puts one out there, and you can contact him through QRZ.
Thank you for that, and I'm glad. Yeah, it's one that I'm pretty sure I want to grab one of those. It's funny because I actually like keys that have a little wider paddles on them. They're a little more like fingerprint size. But that one has so much appeal. It's so tiny, and I like the idea of maybe attaching it to my MTR3B or something. And but I gotta say, Adam, that your paddle that you built, that's a really cool little paddle. Jonathan made that. It looks great. So
and sorry, I was long.
Oh, go ahead. No.
My apologies. I was long-winded. Do you plan to do an activation with the AX2 anytime soon?
Yeah, in fact, I did one the day I pulled open the package. I went out to the field, and it was at Zebulon Vance. Was that Tuesday of this week? It was Tuesday of this past week. So that's, in fact, someone here is mentioning that they worked me. Mark mentioned that he worked me at Zebulon Vance, and that was the one where I was using the AX2 for that. And you got two HL. I'm just reading what Mark's saying too on his comment. I'm not good at reading comments and talking at the same time, but he's got two HLT2s. That's fantastic, and the EDC bag from Spec Ops. That's a great one.
Nice.
But yeah, so the AX2 is nice. It's even that much shorter, that much more compact, and I mean it would like worked like wildfire when I used it on Tuesday. So I had to cut it short. You know, it's so funny. And I don't know, Josh, if you paid attention, or any other, or Adam, maybe if you have. I have noticed a massive difference in the number of CW operators on the bands during SOTA and POTA in the past 2 years. Like, I mean, it's not uncommon to have like these massive pileups and things these days, and it used to not be that way 2 years ago.
I'll let Adam. I just want to interject really quickly. I have noticed that as a chaser because I don't have the confidence enough yet to do an activation. But Adam, what are your thoughts? Go for it.
I have seen the increase, I would say, more significantly in POTA. I've just seen a general increase in activity in SOTA, and I think SOTA has always been pretty heavy on the CW side, just for the lightweight and battery efficiency. But I think there are just more SOTA operators, and I think a lot of people that get into SOTA relatively quickly transition to CW because it's just better. It's like cheating.
It is totally like cheating. Actually, go ahead, Josh.
I was going to say there's a fantastic question, but I'll segue that after you make your point, Thomas. Go ahead.
Yeah, you know, so people will say to me sometimes, like they'll say, well, you know, the reason why this antenna worked for you or whatever is they'll say, you know, a lot of people want to contact you, like you're popular or something, and I'm really not that popular. And when I went to Canada, I passed my Canadian exam. I got a brand new call sign, VY2SW. No one had that in Ham Alert. No one had anything there. And I went out and activated parks, and there were big pileups everywhere. You know, like pileups are just so common now, and I think that really CW is just going through such a nice renaissance. And I agree with you, Adam, that like SOTA, you know, SOTA to me is, that crew has probably not changed as much as POTA has, because POTA is just so accessible to more people that live in places that don't have, you know, summits around them, and so it is a really, really accessible one. I do probably 20 POTA activations for one SOTA activation, even though I live in the mountains, because for my schedule, like even just today, to go out to that one summit and to do like a 4.5 mile hike and all that, it just takes a chunk of my day out, and it's hard for me to do. But CW is just like, it is the key to making SOTA work so well.
I hear you. So the follow-on question for that is, and this came in as an to Adam, but I'll take Adam's comment first, and then we'll have Thomas add this too, because it's a good question. Is it wrong to want a key but not know Morse code yet?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
You should have all the keys.
They're beautiful pieces of history if you think about it. There's a lot of people that collect keys. Like if you go back to like the smokeless bathtub keys and all the World War II keys and all that stuff, there's a lot of history that goes behind a lot of them, and they're not completely unreasonable, being functional items and also historical things that they actually probably will retain their value better than when you bought them, and probably grow in value over time. That's me being a speculator of some things. But Thomas, what are your thoughts?
100%. I bought a key. It was my very first key was like a Nye Viking straight key, and that was right after I passed my novice exam, and I still have that key. And then the very first hamvention I went to, I decided I was just getting my CW chops then. I was probably up to like 10 words a minute or something. And I thought, you know, sort of like my philosophy with bags, go ahead and get a good one. And so I went to a whole bunch of different vendors there. There used to be a lot for keys, like for handmade keys and stuff. But I went to the Bengali booth and it was just all over. Like it's just throw your money at them because you're going to be. And so I would have bought their key not even knowing CW, because I think it would be a really good motivation to learn CW just to use the key.
It kind of is, because if you don't do something with it, don't you feel bad a little bit that you have? It's like having a Lamborghini in the garage and not taking it out a little bit, right? Doesn't it feel that way?
Yes.
I think, or a Ferrari. I don't know. By the way, everybody
Something we can all relate to for sure.
Everybody on YouTube, if you're not on the Discord, you're missing all the pictures that people are dropping on the Discord of their keys right now and the antenna projects they're working on. So that's the best part about joining the Discord, is that you get to see the live text chat that goes along with the after chat voice that you're hearing. So keep that in mind. I will recommend that if you are thinking about learning CW, the Long Island CW Club is a great place to start. It's also a fantastic online ham radio club. It's not just all about Morse code with them, so do consider joining them. I'm not affiliated with them. I'm just a big advocate and supporter of what they're doing, their mission out there on ham radio. Okay.
Me too. I agree 100%. They're incredible.
Yeah. All right. More questions for Thomas. Since we've got him here, let's take some of his time. I heard Kyle, too, by the way. Shout out to Kyle. Are you still there, Kyle?
Yeah.
Where's Kyle? Was A0Z in the chat? I thought he was.
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, I couldn't get off mute.
No, yeah, I just threw it to you because I was like, oh, I heard Kyle. Okay, I got to come back around to Kyle in a little bit. We'll come back to all the YouTubers
everyone.
in a second. Yeah. But yeah, any questions for Thomas? And guys in the chat, you can PTT and ask your question. We're happy to take it. Go for it.
I'm seeing one here too from Adam G, and he's saying, any recommendations? He said he just passed all 3 exams last week.
Ooh.
Man, awesome. That's incredible. It took me a couple of decades to do that. Any recommendations on which HF band I should start with to get on the air and make my first contact? And he's got an 818ND with QRP guys 80 through 10 and 40 through 10. Okay, so you got some great antennas that are multi-band there. I mean, really, any band, if you're doing single sideband, I would say that if you want a band where you're going to ease into the activity and there's some really cool stuff happening, I really like 17 meters. It's great for POTA or SOTA or anything. You can get some interesting DX off of it. It's not as busy and hectic as some of the other bands can be sometimes. And of course, it's being a WARC band like 30 meters and 12. And I guess 60 would be as well. There's just not, you won't find contests and stuff there, so it's a little less crowded. People will often call that, and I kind of believe it's sort of like a gentleman's band. But basically, it's a band where I think people are pretty calm and collected and good ambassadors of the hobby. So I like 17 meters.
Not a fantastic nighttime band, so just keep that in mind, everybody. No. Yeah. It
is not.
For me, I'm a night owl, so I like 20 as far as I can take it, and then I get on to 40, that kind of thing. Generally.
40 is incredible at night. It's a great one.
40 is always good. 40 is good, except the AM stations start to encroach, and then it's like, okay.
Yeah.
And they won't talk to you unless your signal drifts all over the place either.
Right. By design, they don't talk to you. They don't even have receivers.
Kidding, of course.
Yeah. All right. More questions for Thomas. Anybody in the voice chat? We'll take preference to you guys. If you hit the PTT button and ask your question, we'll be happy to take it. Or we're also looking on YouTube for text chat questions and Discord as well for those of you that are not on mic. So those are always welcome. Oh my gosh, there's so many people showing their kits right now. It's crazy. Go ahead. Questions. Go for it.
I was wondering if you had any experience with Vertex bags and apparel.
I saw your question earlier. So Vertex, I don't know. Anybody have any comments on Vertex?
I'm looking them up. I'm looking them up right now because I did see your comment a little bit earlier too. Vertex packs. I'm looking if I've seen them before. Oh, I do think I've seen this brand before. Yeah. Yes, I have. They do a lot of concealed carry and things. I've seen them, but they also have travel bags. Yeah, they're really nice. I have never tried one before. I've never seen them. Do they make them here in the States or?
As far as I know, yeah, they're
Yeah.
really top drawer quality, but they're really expensive.
Yeah. These things always go hand in hand. Like, you know, the micromanager pack that I was showing, that's like what, $130 or $40. I can't remember what the price is now. The Tom Ben bags, you'll easily spend between $200 to $350 on one of those. I mean, that's just kind of, you become numb to it. You know how like when you like nitpick over the price of a coffee, and then you're buying a house, and the price difference will be $150,000, and you're like, yeah, we can swing that. You know, it's sort of like that with packs. You become kind of numb to the pricing after a while, and just kind of say, you know, so far I've never been disappointed when I've put my money into a really good pack.
It's pretty funny that you bring that up, because it was similar to what Bruno was telling me, that somebody was talking about, you know, the key. Hey, does it come with a cord? You know, and it's a freaking $580 key, and they're worried about a $3 cord.
Right?
Yes.
I do want to remind people, and Thomas, you put it, like, I think perfectly, that like bags don't really go down in value, and if you buy a bag, and let's say it's an expensive bag, and you carry it for a couple of days, and you're like, wow, this just isn't really that comfortable for me. That's okay. Don't kill yourself on that. Like, let it go and get another bag that better suits you. Because there's totally nothing wrong with finding the right bag for you. Because I'm telling you, when you find the right bag, it's like I don't know, it's like one of those moments. Like
Nirvana.
Like, yeah, it is amazing when you get a good backpack. And it's okay if the bag's not good for you. Just get rid of it and get another bag. It's okay to experiment, and you should, until you find a good one. You really should.
Just going to drop in and say, if you have not seen the VanQuest gear bags, oh my God. They are to die for.
I love what this has turned into, though. Everybody's going to tell us about their bags that they're like, oh, have you seen this bag? Bags. You got to check out this bag.
Oh man, and I just found out about. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, okay. I'm just looking up VanQuest now. This is going to end up being an expensive show for me.
And I realized that my I did a video clip for Not a Rubicon, and apparently it went live a day ago. It went live yesterday, and I haven't watched it yet, so we may watch that later. But anyway, I actually have to grab something. I want to grab my Bengali key and put it next to the 3-band mountain topper just to show the size comparison, because it's shocking. But you guys, go ahead, Thomas. Go ahead. You were about to say something.
Well, no, one of my readers told me about Blue Ridge Overland, which is a company in, I think, Bedford, Virginia, that also makes packs, again, sort of for the overland crowd. And I want to get in touch with them because I know I want to try one of their packs, and I'll buy it and everything. I buy all these things. I'm not giving them, right? So I'm buying them, but they have so many options. I want to say, can you not just send me a box full of these things and then let me configure it the way I want to? Because these are all modular in design. They like use Velcro inside to like configure the inside of one of their EDC packs. And I want to give it a go. Tom Ben, if you are looking for a pack from them and you're uncertain about the color or the size, whatever, what I've done before, I've racked up. I remember once I paid like, I don't know, $1,200 or something for a Tom Ben order because I wasn't going to keep all that. But you order all of it, they send it to you, and then they have this deal where no matter what you order, how many there are, you send back what you don't want to them for $10, and it goes UPS. And so that's a good way to try it out. And I've done that before because it gives you a way to load it out. And they don't care if you're doing that. They don't want you to. I mean, I don't even think they mind if you take the the tags off. They'll take stuff back as long as it's in good shape and it meets their standards and stuff. But a lot of them you'll find they're pretty flexible. So you can have an opportunity to try it out. Man, there's some great kits in here.
I know, everybody's showing off their kits. It's insane. Okay, I've got to. What's the best way to do this? I'm gonna.
Of course, Adams, yours weighs like nothing.
Oh yeah.
I bet you the scale weighs more than yours.
Yeah, I think the scale does weigh more. It's that little MTR. So that's a MTR 2B. It's a 2040, and I run it off that little 9-volt. That's one of my end-fed half waves with 30 gauge wire and the RCA connector. And yeah, the cap touch pedal is built in. It's the little brass nuts
Oh, yeah,
on
I
the end
see
of
it.
it. And yeah, it's stupid light, and that's what I like to carry in the backcountry when I'm hiking a long way.
What did you say that thing weighs? 137 in what? Is that
137
0.1.
grams.
grams? That's
It's
like
crazy.
Pico balloon status. That's like
It is.
5 ounces.
that's literally
4.5
Pico
ounces,
balloon.
something
Oh no, balloons! No, no.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know,
4.8 ounces.
Yeah, Adam, I actually built your InFed half wave. I think it was an InFed. I was going to build one for a friend too, actually, and I did that. It's the first time I'd ever done a completely counterpoiseless antenna. You know, where you're just taking the BNC and hooking it directly up to the radio. And my KX1 loves that thing, and I was afraid. I mean, I will see a little SWR variation with body capacitance and stuff like that. It's a little more sensitive to that. But it's always an acceptable SWR. I think a lot of people think that SWR always has to be 1.1 or 1.1 to 1 and nothing else, you know. But, you know, most radios, especially at QRP power, if you're running at 2 to 1, that's not a big deal, you know. But it's always been like probably between about 1.5 to 1 to 1. So,
Yeah,
it's a fun
if you
little build.
build it, yeah, and if you build it and tune it the way you're going to use it, you'll have pretty consistent results with it. Yeah, I think it works really well with radios that you're holding in your hand. So you become the ground, basically. You become the counterpoise to it by that capacitive coupling, and it works pretty good.
Excellent. And Matt, oh, go ahead. I'm seeing Matt,
No, go ahead.
KN4YTA. He says, I need the Amazon Jewelers blocks as a base weight for my TP3. That's brilliant. Okay, putting that in my shopping cart right now.
So
Go ahead.
Once upon a time, the SOTA Beams company, they had something called the Flight Deck, and it was just basically like a cutting board that you could get at the Dollar Tree, and it used like you know, elastic cables or whatnot to hold like a 3-band mountain topper and a tablet and a key or whatever. Have you guys ever played around with that, the Flight Deck concept, where you've got like you lash all the stuff to it and it's all kind of like your tablets right there, your keys right there, and all that? Like, have you ever done that?
I can sort of tell you from my end. I actually. Oh, sorry. Was somebody saying something?
I'm a private pilot, and I use my kneeboard all the time.
Yeah,
that's a kneeboard that unfolds, covers up both of my legs, so it's like a little table that has a strap that goes around my right thigh.
Yeah. Okay. I'll let Thomas go, and then I'm going to come back. Go ahead, Thomas. I want to talk about flight boards for a second.
So the flight, I actually purchased one. I've assembled it. I have not used it yet, mainly because I've been using a knee board so much, you know, lately. But the same guy who makes the TP3, Bamatech, I think is the name of the company in Germany, he makes a flight deck that is very, very configurable and can be used as both a clipboard. It has a winder place on the back of it, so you can put your coax and maybe even your antenna on it, so you can unwind that. And I got it mainly. It's pretty affordable. I think it was under $20 when I bought it, probably a year ago or so. But I haven't done that. I'm curious. I mean, have you done that, Josh? Have you used a flight deck?
Well, no. So once upon a time, this is actually the thing that I'm talking about. SOTA Beams had it was for the KX1. Thank you for the clarification. But yeah, it was literally a piece of plastic with bungees on it, and you could attach the KX1 to it, and your tablet and your key and all that stuff. And I'll fast forward a little bit to where he has it on there. And I think this guy's in like Australia, and he's literally in a Land Rover, an old school Land Rover, which is really, really cool. But it's just this cool concept. I mean, it might work. Actually, Thomas, it might work out really well for you since you sit on the ground. I know Adam actually sits on the ground a lot when he activates because he does SOTA often. Adam, have you played around with this concept at all?
No. I generally, I'd say most of my radios either have the paddle attached or I'm holding the paddle in one hand, and then I usually have my phone. I use my phone for logging. I don't paper log, and I have it on either sitting on my leg or attached to a magnetic elastic strap on my leg so I don't drop it. So that's kind of my usual sort of scenario there for operating.
Adam is magnetic key man. He slaps his key on his side. It's like magnetically connected. That's perfect. Yeah.
And I've got to say, I'm a really big fan of a knee board and a folding knee board. And one of my this reader subscribers friends, Carol Ann N0RNM, she just like 3D printed me one at home and sent it to me. And this has been like 2 years ago or something. And it really became such a valuable tool for SOTA, especially because I'll go somewhere and I'm sitting down on the ground, or maybe I'll take like today I took my little 3-legged camp stool and lashed it onto the side of my backpack, because I don't mind. I have to admit, like when I'm going to a rocky surface, I'm pretty cool with the extra weight of taking like something to sit on, because I hate that feeling when you get up and like one or both of your legs are asleep. You try to stand up, you like fall down because you've been sitting there for 40 minutes working stations. But the knee board is just so nice. I love having both my radio, the key, and the logging pad and everything right there on my knee. And Joshua over at Tufton, he actually took her design and with her permission, and tweaked it and improved it, in my opinion, in so many different ways, because it actually is a little thinner, it collapses better, it has lashing points on it for like those shock cords and things, so you can put more radios on it. And he worked with her on it, and he actually gives her some of the proceeds from those when he sells them. They're just really cool.
Somebody dropped a link to a lap desk for a KX2, so I dropped that on the chat for everybody.
Oh yeah, Thingiverse, yeah.
Yeah, so it looks like they're running a KX2 with the what do they call the Bengali thing or something like that for the KX2?
That's the Adventure.
Is that the
the Adventure?
Okay, that's really cool.
Yeah, if I get one.
As a weird just side topic, I worked on some of the pages that went into the B-52 flight manual, the leg manual for pilots operating a satellite radio, beyond line of sight radio that we worked on. So that's a whole world of very concise, very pithy, and to the point conversations for pilots. They don't want to mess around with a lot of filler. You got to get right to the point if it's on a knee. That's what I learned in that. That was like when I became a software engineer. I think it went into the B-52 and the B-2 actually. I think, but who knows? I don't know what they actually ended up with. But yeah, fun. Anyway.
Wow. I'm also looking at these images of the Step 22, the toiletry bag, and how well that works with the KX2. That's pretty cool. I like that. It is, like for me, Adam, I think you're like just a lightweight guru. And for me, I do like things to be on the lightweight side, but when I'm doing POTA, where I'm really probably not going to hike very far with my gear, I don't worry about it too much. But I do like implementing hikes when I do POTA activations. If I have the time to do it at all, I'll always go on a hike. And most of the state parks I go to in the national parks do have really good trail systems there. And I'll do a trail side activation sometimes, just because I just want to do it out. I've resisted even putting in a mobile setup in my car. I know it would come in really handy sometimes, but I just get a real thrill out of throwing an antenna up in a tree, or just doing a completely portable setup. I just get a real thrill out of that.
Very good. All right. Anybody else in there with questions? I think there was another person that was going to ask a question. Go for it. Hit the PTT and start talking.
I was curious if you guys have ever tried like surplus, like Alice packs or the day packs or assault packs or whatever.
I have.
Same radio.
I have, but we'll go to Thomas first, and then we'll probably go to Adam next, and then I'll add my thoughts.
What company are you talking about?
Surplus.
Oh, just surplus packs? I haven't done that yet. I haven't ordered anything surplus that I can think of in my packs. I'm giving this some thought here. In the past, there used to be a company here in Asheville called Diamond Brand, and they actually made packs. They made a lot. They made some incredible tents and things. They kind of got out of that, and they just did military contracts. And I have gotten some surplus military, specifically made for like certain things, bags that I've gotten in the past. But I've never done that. No, I'd be curious about that though. Do you
Uh,
have any sources for that?
Adam, have you ever played around with Alice packs?
No, I'm very much a search and rescue mountaineer, climber, backpacker, and I avoid sort of military type stuff because it's just too dang heavy for me. My one of my current favorite packs is a 20-liter pack made by I think a Swiss company named Mammut, Mammut. And I've had that thing for probably 15 years. It's the yellow pack faded yellow pack that's in a whole bunch of my videos. And that thing's been all kinds of places. My favorite current pack, I'll post a link in the chat here. It's expensive, but it's less than 2 pounds, a 28-liter. You call it a day pack, but I'll go 2-3 days in it. And it carries well for its lightweight. I like the little pockets on the shoulder straps. They fit a small HT and or like a Garmin InReach, and it's a great little pack.
I grew up as a Boy Scout with a external frame pack. Boyo, we'll put 40 pounds on the back of a 14-year-old and let's haul him into the woods.
Yeah,
So
you were asking about
I'm
the Alice
allergic
packs.
to weight.
Well, no, I'm getting to Alice packs. So I grew up with the external frames, right? The whole thing. I actually have a gear hauler backpack that was external frame and then has the lip that folds out that you could put huge items on. I still use that for prospecting gear and whatnot. But I did try some of the surplus Alice. I didn't keep it, Alice pack. Maybe that tells you where I'm going with this. Not really that comfortable for me, particularly when you start putting weight on it and it already starts out a little bit heavy. My lightest pack actually has 2 vertical spines in the back, and it internal frame in like the loosest terms. It's a hyper light mountain gear pack, and I think it's a 30-liter pack. That thing, you probably don't want to go over like 20 pounds with it because it is an ultralight pack and the straps are not really designed for super heavy gear. So I generally do aim to be light anyway on it. But I'm kind of with the rest of the guys, and particularly since I've gotten older. The older I get, I'm become, as Paul said, allergic to the weight, if you will. So yeah, no, I'm not. If you're young, it's probably fine. As you get older, though, you start spending a little bit more money to get a better pack like this Mammut bag that Adam dropped for us. So take a look at that. It's actually not that expensive, all things considered.
No,
for the bags for the bags that we showed today. $175 is not that bad overall. So looks 28 liter, right? Is it a 20 around 30 liter pack, Adam?
Yeah, it's a 28, almost 30 there, and it's I'll find some photos of it in use, but it carries weight pretty well too. I'll carry 35 pounds in it, no issue.
Nice. Yeah,
I like the design.
I do too. So it doesn't have the molly, but it's got lots of clips, and those little loops are actually really, really useful for strapping things onto it as well. Somebody commented, Josh is starting to sound like the Elmers on 40 meters. I think he meant OMs. Can you imagine when I get like to that age and we're like doing the live stream? We're like, all right, let's get on 80 meters and start talking some crap to people. It's going to be fun, guys. It's going to get spicy.
My
I relate.
really acting up today.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I really like. I mean, I agree with you, Josh. Like, I find that even like with the summit stuff I do, which is not crazy, but sometimes like probably the longest SOTA hikes I ever do will be around like 10 miles round trip, and I don't do those often. Usually most of them are somewhere between 4 or 5, something like that. Sometimes a lot shorter. Mm-hmm. But even then, I decided I really do need like hip belt suspension and stuff. So I really wanted to. That's the reason I got the Mystery Ranch pack, which I'm going to try. I'm not convinced it's going to be right. I need to make sure it fits me correctly and everything, and distributes the weight correctly. So I'll have to check into that. But I do want something that's just a little a little better, for doing that. It's all the extra stuff I take with me, like water and all those things that really kind of load down the pack.
Yeah, water's always the heaviest thing generally that I carry. But so here, I mean, that what happens is, like, when you're young, you can carry lots of weight and you can save lots of money by going cheap gear. And then as you start getting older, you start to like realize that you can get much cheaper gear. Well, sorry, much lighter gear, but it's more expensive. And so you're still doing the same thing. Like, you can still bring all the same stuff, but you end up paying more for it to do pretty much the same thing. But when your knees are all screwed up like mine are, and you still want to get out there, it's kind of what you have to do, unfortunately. That's just the reality of getting old.
Yeah, and the Alice pack, the one thing I was going to say and I forgot about, so Spec Ops actually makes a version of that pack, and I've eyed it before, but I don't like packs that are really wide.
Yeah.
And those tend to bulk out on the sides, and I'm not too big on that. Just for, I mean, not now, not at my age and everything. I just don't like it. I don't like when I'm going in the woods and I'm going through tight places. I don't want to have things bulking out around me too much. So that's one of the cool things about some of the modern hiking packs is they're pretty narrow, pretty low profile when they're on you.
Yeah, I also don't like the material that a lot of them are made of, but that's just my personal thing. I'm also a bit of a snob. I do like Dyneema bags and stuff like that, so you also pay top dollar for that, so I get it. Okay, more questions for Thomas and Adam, since he's also an avid hiker, avid SOTA operator. So we got a lot of people in here, so we'd love to answer your questions, particularly regarding packs and getting outdoors with ham radio. So go for it.
So what if someone's packing on a budget? What's a good or what's a budget pack that won't put you on the Battlestar Sciatica?
Battlestar Sciatica. Oh, that's great. That's great, man. Oh, shoot. How much gear do you want to haul? Like, first, like, what are you thinking about dragging out?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's my first question. What you carrying?
Yeah.
X6100 in-fed half-wave battery, something to log with, stuff like that.
Okay, so pretty light.
Snacks.
And essentials, so you can have a first aid kit, some food,
And
water.
who is this talking, by the way? I'm trying to find on.
Austin,
I can never find on
AT4AG.
AT4HG.
Oh, Alpha Charlie.
You sound just
Alpha.
like
He's all the way at the top. He's all the way at the top of the list.
Okay, that's the reason I'm seeing you there. And so it's what's your budget when you say budget?
I don't know.
Yeah,
just
good
something
question.
like I just a lot of these packs are like $200-$300. I was thinking like sub, $150, around $150.
Oh, you can
and
do that.
below, maybe.
You can do that.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Just
So
a little tip:
I-
if you check out Facebook Marketplace, you can find a lot of these packs we've discussed for really good prices.
If you don't want to go
Yeah.
full used, REI has a resale
Yes.
program, the sidewalk sale.
Yes.
Like, there's actually I don't know who is this person, but if you're in El Segundo, California, the REI store is there. But if you go like 2 stores down next to the Old Navy, it's just all the returns that they're reselling, and they call it the sidewalk sales store. But they do that like every month or every 2 months. They resell all the returns. You can come up on like an Osprey pack, like really inexpensively. Osprey is great. Even some of the REI packs are fine, and you'll be well under $150.
That's a really good point, Josh. Actually, so I'm a really big fan of REI. I like supporting like our local camping stores and stuff in Asheville, but REI is just, they're so great. And our store used to do that. Like every month or so, they would have a garage sale day, and you would go and they would open up like their warehouse and you do a garage sale thing. They stopped doing it, and they just have an ongoing garage sale now. So like one little corner of the store is dedicated to garage sale stuff. And I've gotten like, man, I saved a ton of money on my crossbars that I put on my Subaru, the Thule crossbars. I bought like a pair of Keen hiking boots, the kind that are made in the States. They're like $200, and I got them for $100. When I was in there recently, they had taken a lot of their rental gear and thrown it on there. So there must have been like 12 full hiking packs that were on there. And yeah, they showed some wear, but they were like a third of the price of normal, maybe less than that. And And they also they actually have a used store online as well.
Mhm.
They just started doing that not long ago. And you can go on and shop used stuff, and it's not their outlet stuff. It's actually used stuff. And my wife she's actually turned in. I think she turned in a slightly used like Columbia jacket or something like that into that program, and they'll pay you for those too. So that's a great thing.
They do have a really good return policy, and those returns
Mm-hmm.
will end up showing up in these sidewalk sales sections / a full store in El Segundo. I go there probably once every 6 months, and I end up walking out with a pair of pants, some assorted gear or whatever. And what's crazy is they got the tags on it for why it was returned. And some of the reasons the stuff is returned is just hilarious. Because
You're
it's like
right.
untouched. It's like untouched gear. And they're like, oh, it was faulty from the factory, or it was it was a charger that I was looking at, and they're like, oh, it didn't charge my phone 5 times. It's like, well, yeah, it was a battery like this big, so okay, give it give it some space. It's all right. But you can get a lot of stuff like that. It's probably the cheapest way to go without going like full used market, full private used market. Adam, you got any hot tips on used deals or cheap deals?
Yeah, so I think my biggest suggestion would be to go to a store that actually has stuff in stock. Bring your gear with you and go load it up and see how it packs into the pack and see how it feels. And that's like a normal thing to do at REI. I'll totally bring stuff into the store, or if I'm just looking for a general backpacking pack or a hiking pack, they have these weighted sandbags that you can stick in the pack and load it up and just walk around the store for half an hour and see how it feels for an extended amount of time. And you really get a lot out of trying that and having a pack on for a little while with stuff in it. So yeah, I'd say find a physical store nearby that has like outdoor type gear, hiking gear, backpacking gear, things like that, and look for something for a day pack. Look for something in like the 20 to 35 liter range. That's probably going to serve you best. I like packs with hip belts. Some people don't. Take your pick. And once you kind of get a feel for how some of those work for you, then it's a little easier to buy stuff online and be successful.
That's absolutely right. And
yep, go for it.
And I would add to that REI especially, but pretty much any good pack store will fit you for a pack too. Like they'll take measurements to make sure that you're getting the right size. So I noticed that so to answer your question about an affordable pack that I think is really good, someone posted this in the chat, and I'd have to scroll back up to find them. But Matt said the Gregory Zulu 30 is what Charlie uses, and it's true that he uses those, and you can find them for around $120. And I was so influenced by that I wanted to try it. Our local REI carries Gregory stuff, but they didn't have the Zulu 30, and in fact, I found out that was just being discontinued. I ordered one.
Of course, it was.
I ordered one online. They had like one left. It was blue, and I ordered it. I got it in, and they shipped it to my house, sort of thing. And I tried it on. I was like, this is too small for me. And I realized that I had ordered, not realizing it, that I got the small medium one. And I looked at their measurements, and technically, based on my torso measurement, it should have fit, but my shoulders are kind of broad. And so my shoulders made it not fit. And they didn't have a large one for me to do that. So I ended up exchanging it. I mean, I left all the tags on and stuff, so they were able to sell it in the store new because it had I never used it. I just kind of tried it out. But Adam's right. Like you need to. REI has no issue whatsoever. I can say from like firsthand experience, you can take all kinds of crap in there and have them. You can load out a pack and then try it on and walk around the store, and that is just normal stuff when you go in there. I mean, any good pack store will do that.
Yeah, and Jody is always like the best at commenting something before I get to say it. But again, going back to my days as a scout with an external frame pack, lots of hip pads or hip belts. Yeah, you want the weight on the hip belt low, and you want the shoulder straps to kind of just have a bit of the weight. He mentions 80-20. You can kind of feel it though when it's right. So if you're new to a hip belt pack, that's kind of how you want to distribute the weight, more towards the hips than on the shoulders. Adam or anyone, feel free to dive in there if you have any additional comments on that.
And nothing more than I agree. Yeah, you got to get that weight on your hips. A lot of these modern mountaineering packs, the like 20 to 40 liter range ones, have kind of shifted to this fad of just putting the weight on your shoulders and having a marginal hip belt. And I don't like it.
I
want that
noticed
hip
that.
belt, even in a small pack.
I've noticed that too. Or they're like an accessory item that you have to add on to it, and it's this weird kludge to add the hip belt to it, and it doesn't distribute the weight well. Like that's a weird thing that we've gone like ultra weight weenie style of packs. I think that's a byproduct of it, is people are ditching the hip belt, and they think that like they're just gonna have no problems. Hip belts are really, really good. If it's a good hip belt, it will save your I don't know, your whole hike potentially, depending on how far you're going.
Yeah, it's also, and I would say, and like the bag Adam was showing, the Gregory Zulu, all the ones that I think SOTA activators use regularly, like if you look on the SOTA forum, you'll see a lot of different bags, and kind of an international setting too, like because a lot of these people, there'll be European bags you don't see here and stuff. But you'll notice that a lot of them have really nice lashing points on the outside, because that is one thing you want in case you're taking a telescoping pole or something. You don't want to be clunky and weird on your pack. And I'm fortunate enough that even our tallest summit here in North Carolina has trees that I can use. They're not big. And I do go to some summits that are a bald, like it's almost like a pasture or something on top of them, so you don't have anything to use, and you got to think of something else. But a lot of especially a lot of you guys out west and stuff, and in the Rockies, you really do have to take a support with you, and you need to make sure your pack can handle that.
I can't. There's so many good points that we've covered here. I can't say enough for just like going to a place like REI or an outfitter store that does a proper fitting for you, because they'll take the time and get you the right pack and have you try it out before just like sending you out there. Once you kind of get what you like and what your body works with, then you can just go off and try it with other packs. But I think if you're thinking about like a buy once cry once mentality, even if it's with a modest budget, it's best to go. It's the same thing I argue like going to an HRO or a Gigaparts or a DX Engineering. Like you're going to be using this thing for a long time, so make sure you get the right one and bring your gear. I really like Adam's ideas. Sure, they may throw sandbags in it, but bring your gear. It could be like, so case in point, it's a really good point, and it's a bag I couldn't bring out, but one of my favorite bags is like a Patagonia bag. It's like an 18-liter bag. It's my day bag. It fits my KX2, it fits my first aid kit, and then just like a couple of accessories, and there's like an outside pouch that I really like. But it has fantastic straps, and it has a really, really good laptop sleeve, because I always have a laptop or tablet with me, and I love that thing. It's fantastic. But like I only knew that I kind of was in that space after having a lot of different packs, right? And so yeah, I'm a big advocate of get yourself fitted for a bag appropriately. So good points all around, man. This is good.
Yeah, it's hard for me. So I told Josh, I'm like a 1980s guy, so like chats and things like just happen too fast. All this stuff happens too fast for me. So I've probably missed a lot of things that people have put in here as it scrolled by, as I try to keep up. But I've got to say, man, these are awesome things in here. Like I've made so many notes of links and things, just stuff to explore and look at. At the end of the day, it's like with radios. Like I know I indulge in this a little bit, and because I can, packs and radios are my thing. I like that, and I'll spend a little extra money on it. But the truth is, most people, I actually get a thrill out of just having one radio. And I've gone on trips before where I just take one radio with me, and it's nice because you get to know it. And with a pack, you get to know that pack really well, where it works. And this is the important part. This is what I was going to say about actually taking your gear with you. Adam's stuff he's talking about is really super lightweight, really small. You could probably put it in the top compartment of the pack that's accessible. It's so small. and it doesn't weigh anything, so it's not going to press down anything in the pack. But if you're using something like an FT817 or even one of the Shegu brick size things, the 5105 or the 6100 or something. Another thing the reason why you want to take that with you to the pack store to try it out is because when it goes in a pack, you want to make sure you're not feeling that in the middle of your back. Like that the back of the pack is somehow where you're packing that radio and where you want to pack it to protect it is not going to be like poking you in the back or something. Because I have had that happen before, especially on smaller frameless packs. One of the reasons I like the Go Rug packs is because they have basically like a frame sheet thing built into them that's simple, but it's kind of bulletproof. You could stick like a bowling ball in it, and I'm not sure you'd feel the bowling ball in your back. So that is another really important point of why you want to actually take your gear and try it out, if the thing actually exists in the store, the pack that you want to try.
I agree. Yeah.
100% agree.
Yeah, that's all. I never even thought about doing that. That's awesome. That's great. That's a great idea.
I like all these people that have beer can access.
There's
in
no
their packs.
There's no REI in where I live in rural Kentucky, but back home in South Carolina in Greenville, there's a REI. So when I go visit my family, I'll probably be making a trip there.
Yeah, and there's one up in Asheville too that's not too far away from you. I visit that store way more often than I'd like to.
It's on the way, so there you go.
All right. Any other questions for Thomas? Let's make sure we get him in there, and everybody else here that loves the outdoors. So if you have a question, hit that PTT button and go for it.
Got a question.
Yeah, go for it.
You reviewed a radio some time ago, Thomas, the RRGO1. Have you had another chance to look at it since? To sort of since the conditions have changed?
So I have. I actually just did. It'll be out in probably a week. I've got a video using the Mission RGO1 with the AX1 antenna, and I did it just to kind of do it. It's kind of a funny pairing. But the RGO1, I actually use that radio a lot. It doesn't show up in my videos because I use it at the house a lot as sort of just one of my shack radios. And for those of you not familiar with this particular radio, you can do a web search for Mission RGO1 or Argo 1 is what people will often call it. It's a wonderful radio. Like it really has incredible sort of just characteristics. It's a traditional kind of legacy looking radio with a nice encoder on the front and a display. It looks very much like you'd see like a K2 or a maybe like a Ten-Tech Eagle. It's sort of that size of radio. It's a little hands-on. It's not. I don't think it's ever actually come out. It's supposed to be a kit radio at some point, but Boris makes these in Bulgaria in small batches, very small batches, and it's just extraordinary radio. Very, very simple, but wonderful receiver characteristics and low noise floor. It's a wonderful radio. It's lightweight too for one that pushes more than QRP power. Mine goes, I think, up to 55 watts. Mm-hmm. I don't use it like that very much, but it's a wonderful one.
Thank you very much.
There's a question to Thomas. What is the better pack for an Elecraft KX3 with or without the PX3?
So I've actually used the micromanager from Red Ox for the KX3 quite a lot.
Okay.
And if you're not looking for like a backpack, you're just looking for a self-contained pack, and it fits really nicely. Now I don't have a PX3, so I've never tried to put that in there, but you can easily throw the KX3 in there. My KX3 actually has the side panels and the little Lexan cover from Side KX. And so you can really just kind of abuse that, and it does fine in those packs.
Excellent. All right.
So many funny comments in here too.
Yeah, there's a lot of comments going in and around. While we're waiting for new comments to come up or questions, let's go through the list of YouTubers that are out here with us. So we heard from I think the first one is Adam K6ARK. What have you been up to there, man?
Well, I am finally back home from Florida. Work trip to Florida, funeral in Kansas City, right on Super Bowl. Well, I flew home on Super Bowl Sunday, and I got to say my family was pretty stoked for the results there. So yeah, I'm back home, and I've been working on getting parts and baggies for antenna kits because I've been getting a lot of emails asking when are more kits going to be available. So. Very soon. I should have QRP versions of the kits out to Amazon midweek. Well, they'll be in the mail from me midweek this coming week, and then 100-watt kits midweek the week after that. So yeah, coming soon. And then today, the big news today, I'll post a photo in the chat. I was picking up a 51-foot tower and tribander from a friend that's moving to Florida and is selling his house and needed to get rid of this crank up tower.
So this is for your home.
Yeah.
Oh, buddy, you haven't had a serious antenna, right? This is like a big move.
No.
Right?
Yeah, I'm just running a 80 meter off center fed dipole.
Yeah.
So yeah, this will be a big step up.
Oh, you dropped a picture of it.
Legit.
Oh my gosh.
Boy, look at that.
I'm gonna pull this up here. So we're gonna.
It looks to be in really good shape too.
Yeah,
it is. It's in good shape.
Hey.
Yeah, he got it for free from a Silent Key's wife a number of years ago, and so he passed it down to me when he wasn't able to hang on to it anymore. He's moving, so
it looks like if I'm seeing this correctly, it looks like you got the thrust bearing and a rotor too connected to that thing.
Oh yeah, yep.
Oh buddy,
and a high gain TH5 tribander, which is pretty old. I'm gonna reassemble it and try to tune it, and if it tunes fine, then I'll put it up. Otherwise, I'll get another tribander. 10, 15, 20 is what I'm most interested on the Yagi. So
his radio will work better than his internet.
That's right.
That's fantastic. So you're telling me you were in Florida and you flew back while the Super Bowl was going on? So you were there like during Hamcation.
I was in Jacksonville, Florida until Thursday.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And then I flew to Kansas City Thursday. My 96-year-old grandmother passed away, and she was kind of very much the matriarch of the family. So we had probably 30 or 40 family members there to celebrate her life, and she lived a heck of a great life, and it was pretty cool to get together with everybody and remember all that. So
right on. Well, oh man, I hear you. All right,
Adam. I'm curious, Adam. Do you live in general? Do you live in like a neighborhood? Is it rural? Is it really urban? Like, because I'm thinking about where you're setting that up. I'm just curious. Do you have like a lot of space or not?
I do. Yeah, we were actually walking around the yard today thinking about where are we going to put this up. I've got 1.3 acres, so I'm in a rural area of kind of East County, San Diego, a town called Ramona, where the camp out is going to be in a couple of months here. So
yeah. So if you were worried that Adam wouldn't be at the camp out, he will be there at least for part of it, because he could always just go home and sleep in his bed, which is probably a nice perk for Adam, considering that he spends so much time outdoors, so that he could just hop back home after the camp out. That's pretty nice.
Come on. I like sleeping in the dirt.
I know you do. But, hey, you may want to take advantage of a nice warm bed. I get it. TC Fitz, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you, man. All right. Let's see. Who else do we have in here? We got, I think next is probably Kyle. Kyle, thanks for waiting patiently. You haven't been talking much. How you doing, man?
Good. How's things in California? Good.
I came back fine. I came back home. Everything was good from the show, and then everybody got sick. I got sick last. I exhibited symptoms last. Leia says I took something home from Florida, but I think we all got it from the kids. But she's convinced that I got her sick, and it's a big thing this week. Did you get sick?
Well, I had been sick, so I think I just got another dose of it. So whatever. It goes with Hamfest.
That's how you got it, Josh.
I don't think so. I think that because I wasn't sick, I had no symptoms. My kids started coughing, and they were all congested and croupy and all that stuff, and that predated me getting sick. I got sick on literally Thursday. So Thursday night, I started feeling really sick, and I was supposed to wake up in the morning, hop in the truck, drive out, pick up not a Rubicon, and then we were going to go on a secret radio mission together. And I had to text him late on Thursday. I was like, man, I'm starting to get sick. I don't think you want this. And he was like, no, we're good. We'll reschedule. So I feel really bad because it was going to be a really fun video that we were going to work on. So you have to wait for that to be a thing. But yeah, it was a bit of a bummer, but it happens.
Yeah. I always get sick after Big Ham Fest for some. I get I don't know what. I think my immune system is a little bit low since I've gotten COVID a couple of times because of Hamfest. So it's just I think okay. It's just one of those things. I just gotta live with it. But anyway, on to bigger and brighter things.
Yes, sir.
First, I want to tell Thomas, I'm a huge fan of yours. I love your videos. I love the QRPer that you do. I know that you and I have worked many, many times on CW. I'm just a huge fan. So anything that you do, Kyle, or you put out there, I read, I ingest somehow into my brain, and you make us a smarter. You make me a smarter amateur radio operator. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. That's really kind of you to say. And Kyle, I got to say, it is awesome working you. It's kind of funny because there'll be people that are impossible to work on the bands. Like they're just in the blackout zone between all bands. And Kyle, for some reason, we just have really good luck. Like when he's out there and he calls me or I call him, it's usually really solid. And it was great too working you single sideband the other day. And I keep hearing your ZZ or the ZZ. I'll hear that, and then I'm like ZZ, and it never hits me. That's probably Kyle. And then I'll hear the beginning. I was like, oh, that's Kyle. Of course it's Kyle. So I always say that in my videos. But thank you. That's very kind of you to say that.
Yeah, I always get on single sideband. I always get Alpha Alpha Zulu Zulu. And I'm like, nope, you got to put a 0 in there with the Zulu.
Yeah. That's the longest part of your call is the 0, right?
Right, exactly. Unlike Adam, I am still in Florida. My parents live in Fort Myers, so I'm down here helping them do some stuff and spending some time with the parents and working from home. So it's been nice. Been enjoying the nice weather. But the one thing that I wanted to promote on my YouTube channel is, since we're talking about CW, is I host every other Monday night. So this coming Monday at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, I host a new series called the New CW Ops Roundtable. And there are mentors and there are new CW Ops, myself and some other YouTubers that you might recognize around the bend. And we just talk about the trials and tribulations of being a new CW operator, how to work a pileup, what was your first experience getting on the air, why did you choose CW, apps that you might use to help learn CW. And this week, we are going to talk about what key did you choose and why? Why did you gravitate towards a certain type of key? And why did you choose it? And we're just going to talk about everything key. And I'm hopeful that this will parlay into, in a couple of weeks, we'll just talk about all the keys. Like, what is the difference between a straight key and a single lever paddle key and a bug and a cootie and an iambic paddle and iambic A versus iambic B. And then I'm hopeful that will parlay into how do you actually adjust a key and how do you what is the care and feeding for your new key, that what are the things that you need to do to keep your key up and running. And I don't think we spend a lot of time on learning CW, but I don't know if no one has ever taught me how to adjust my key correctly and how to care and feed for my key. I adjust it the way that I think I should adjust it, but is it really the way that needs to be done. You know what I don't know. I've never
Lots of
been
water.
taught that.
Lots of water. They need to be fed twice a day. Get
Well,
some time in the backyard for exercise. You know, just like you would do.
I keep jamming dog food into the back of the key, and it doesn't. So anyway, that's
Blue Buffalo. Blue Buffalo is an all natural feed for keys. You know, that's a good one. Yeah, you know, those are things.
You got to say, Kyle. Dog.
Farmer's dog. That's right. Farmer's dog.
Kyle, when you go into the series about adjusting the a bug, then that needs to be like a 4-parter,
right?
Because that requires some magic and witchcraft and all kinds of things to do it correctly. I love the idea of that series. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's good. It's been really fun.
So, there hasn't been a lot of what new CW operators go through, other than the Long Island CW class club has got the Zoom sessions. You have to be a member to attend those, which is great. That club is awesome. I just wanted to put out a perspective of, even if you don't know CW, you can kind of follow along. I've gotten so many emails, and so many people have come up to me at Hamcation and Hamcation and said, "I love your new series because now I understand that I'm not the only person that has CW fright, or I'm now starting to look at it because you're making it so accessible and you're talking about it." So anyway, something to think about.
Fantastic.
So I'm probably like a lot of people who joined the Long Island CW club, and so my first real CW contact was literally I had Howard as a co-pilot, and everybody has key fright, but if you have a pocket Howard decoding for you, it makes it so much easier. Oh my gosh. He was like, yeah, everybody's really scared to have a CW contact, but then when I'm decoding for him, it's like, it's a little bit easier for him. It's like, oh my gosh, I was fine. Howard's like, okay, send your call sign. I was like, okay, good. And I'm working through it. That was an interesting way to get kind of thrown in the deep end, because he was kind of there to help you float a bit, if you will. You know what I mean? It was really interesting. He actually they posted it on the on their website, my contact, where he was helping support, running support for me.
Yeah.
If you get a chance to ever do that for somebody, I'm actually helping a guy right now who's just super nice. His name's Brooks, KO4QCC, super nice fellow, and he just did his first single sideband park activation last year. He had only been I think at the time a ham for a month or something, and he's almost ready for his first CW activation. And what we did to kind of he's the kind of guy that would jump in and do it anyway, but he said, I want to be ready when I go out and do an activation, because it is a little different. And I said, well, hey, why don't you come out and log for me? And so he sat across from me and he logged, because when I was learning CW, the first and kind of second go around, some of my buddies, I remember my very first field day, I was just, I was still at 5 or 7 words a minute or something. And I sat down with the CW ops that were my friends, and I logged for them. And they had to usually tell me the call sign, or I'd look at what they were writing down on the paper. But on occasion, I'd get the whole call. And that really built confidence and just kind of tunes up your ear and everything. So that's one step you can do. And then, like Josh, have a pocket Howard. So if you can go along with somebody on their first CW activation, just kind of be there for them if they miss something or get nervous about it. But let them do it's sort of one of those things where you just gotta jump in the pool,
Yeah. Hey,
you gotta rip the Band-Aid off at some point.
Totally side question. Thomas, did you ever play EverQuest or WoW or anything like that?
No, I haven't. Okay. Why do you ask?
So I have mentioned a pocket something before, and people don't know what I mean, and you knew exactly what I meant. So usually that comes from playing role play games or online. Pocket healer is what we always refer to. Is I got a pocket cleric, or I got a pocket. Are you a D&D guy or something like that?
No, but I know that I have friends that are into D&D.
Oh, okay.
I totally,
Okay.
I totally know that. Yeah. It's D&D is one of those things I always wanted to get into, but my friends that were into it were so deep into it that I would have been like the puppy dog character that.
No, it's not like that. No, I mean when it's all friends like that, like I don't know. I've dropped the pocket comment so many times, and I just drop it because it's just a part of my vernacular. My wife and I talk the same dumb language because we played EverQuest and WoW, and I played D&D. She didn't play D&D that much, but so that's just like common talk, and then common tongue. It's common tongue. But then when I hear people, they don't know what I'm talking about in the chats, and you knew exactly what I meant. I was like, okay, this guy's probably, he probably knows. Okay, yeah. Oh man, now everybody's coming out with their WoW builds. A Resto Druid, D&D Cleric. See, I can never do D&D Cleric. That, not to say it was boring, but I feel like you're the mom of the pack. Like when the paladin starts going a little chaotic evil, and you're like, I think I got to call him out on his non-affluence to his chosen god or his chosen deity. That was always like, I can't be the hall monitor of the D&D group. That's why I could never be Cleric. Anyway, there's enough nerd talk. But there you go. All right, so going down the list, I think the next one is Thomas. So Thomas, obviously you've been talking with us for a while now. Is there anything you want to mention, talk about on what's coming up on your channel? If there's anything you haven't been able to mention so far, this is the perfect time to do that.
So my channel is is kind of what you get is what you see is what you get. But I do have, probably tomorrow I'll be I made a little video about the differences between the AX1 and the AX2 because I've been asked a lot of questions about it, because there are more than just sort of one difference, about using those power ratings, and one's a mono band, one isn't, and one's a lot smaller. One's better suited for doing handheld portable, where you're just like connecting it directly to the KX2 like an HT or something.
Mm-hmm.
I did that. I've got a few more. I tried to do almost at the beginning of the year. I like to try to set like a little goal for myself, but I realize now my life's so chaotic. Last year I planned to build a new antenna every month and use it, put it on the air during a park activation or a summit activation. And I started off the year doing pretty well, but then my mom had some poor health. She was in the hospital. Then we went to Canada for 2 months and all this stuff. And I thought, nope, this is just, it was getting too stressful to try to figure out how to throw all that in there, because I like shaking things up. This year, I thought, I kind of want to. I swear, every time I issue a video with the AX1 antenna, I'll get at least one message from somebody that says, that thing's a dummy load. It doesn't really work. And I'm like, it has always, without fail, it is actually, if I just look at my logbook and the number of contacts I made and the amount of time I was on the air, it is one of my top performing antennas, because I'm the DX, I'm the thing that people are listening for. So I thought, I may need to do like about 30 days of just using the AX1.
Oh, that would be fun.
And so I basically
cool.
did it. I couldn't commit to a calendar month because I test radios and antennas and things, and it's hard for me to say I'm going to block out an entire month and not use anything else. But I did about 30 days of them and tried to pair it with a whole bunch of other radios. One of my most favorite ones that I've done, and this will be coming up soon, is the Pentec TR45L, which is just an awesome looking radio anyway. But you put that antenna on the back of it, and it's like a little lunchbox radio with a telescoping whip that you can communicate with people all over the world with. You feel like a little bit like a spy or something, like, oh, this is what they would have used in the 60s or the 70s, some operative in Siberia, and I had a good fun with that. And I paired it with the K2. I did a park-to-park. People keep saying, well, you can't really do DX with it. I did a park-to-park with someone in the UK from North Carolina.
That's awesome.
And I was running 5 watts. I wasn't even running 10 watts. I was running 5 watts into the AX1 in a picnic shelter with a metal roof over me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like down at a little dip in the land too. It wasn't like it wasn't on some prominence or something. It wasn't on a summit or nothing like that. It was down in a dip in the land, and we actually had a really nice exchange.
So what was the radio again? Because people are already asking.
That one was the Elecraft KX or K2.
No, the lunchbox. Sorry, the lunchbox.
Oh, the TR45L. I'll see if I can actually manage to find You got it. Okay.
I pulled it up. It has a full meter on it, like an actual needle swinging meter on it, which is just crazy. This thing.
It does. It's a cute radio. I mean, I'm sure he sold tons of those just because of the way it looks. But it's a really good performer too. It sounds fantastic. The audio's great. The front end's robust. It can handle contest conditions. So can the TR35. So I've been playing around with the AX1, and now I'm starting to tinker with the AX2. I've also been messing with the G106, and Radio Oddity sent this one to me. The previous one they sent me in September or October, I ended up sending it back because the transmit was kind of wonky on that particular one, and they said, we'll send you an updated one when we get it, and they wanted to work on it a bit, and so that's what they did. And this one is better. I don't think I'm going to buy this radio or anything, but it's acceptable. It's acceptable. I think I just put a little image in of the TR45L with the AX1 on it. But the G106, one thing I will say for it is I think they finally got the keyer timing working a little bit better with that radio, which I think is a positive.
Yeah, I think it is literally a lunchbox. It's got a handle strap on the top.
It's cute.
It's super cute. And so you would say that this is like a contest-ish capable radio, like that level?
What I mean by it is it's not a contest grade radio, but the front end on it.
Gotcha.
If you like, this is the contest weekend, and if I were using like the Shegu X5105, or even like maybe the Mountain Topper series radios in the middle of that contest situation in the RF dense environment, they don't hold up as well. They're not really designed for that. The Mountain Topper's not too bad, but it doesn't hold up as well. Those Pentec radios, the front end's robust enough, it can handle like field day contests like this.
Okay.
And like during one of the big DX contests, I sat there and worked a whole bunch of stations with that radio hooked up to my Skyloop at the house, and it can handle all those close-in stations really well. The filtering's not surgical, nothing like that.
Right.
It's just the front end can handle it, so it's pleasant.
I'm going to jump in here really quickly before we get back to questions. Someone asked earlier about the 705 and taking the 705 portable. So there are two options that I recommend. The 705 is the same size as like a hydration pouch. So what I use, and let me back this bad boy up a little bit. This is my 705 hydration pouch. And so the outside pouch is the mic and the key and the digi-rig setup if you want to use digi-rig or do wireless. It doesn't really matter. And I have a gator on the top. But the 705 is literally crammed in here, and it's padded all the way around because it's a hydration pouch. I don't necessarily know why a hydration pouch needs to be padded, but this is. This is a Condor, I think, a Condor pouch. I'm pretty sure it is. It's available on Amazon. You can Google that. There is, so that's if you run and by the way, Tom Bin, I have a Tom Bin tether loop on the side of it, of course. So, that's what I keep this in because I don't have the Pavoni, is it POV cage. So if you have the POV cage, I have another pouch. Let me grab it. I have another radio in this, but so Maxpedition makes a hydration pouch, and it is just a bigger hydration pouch over the Condor, and this will hold the POV cage if you go down that road, and then you have a bigger outside pouch as well. So if you want to do that, you can. So that's for the 705 folks that commented earlier and asked me about what I do with that. So there you go. There was actually, I was kind of surprised. Oh, wow. Okay, Thomas, I'm going to pull that picture up. There was a lot of people who who were worried about taking the 705 out in the field, that they were going to punch a hole in the screen and whatnot. Like, I get it, but I don't know. Particularly in that hydration pouch with the mic and everything in that front pouch in front of it, it's fine. I don't think you're going to pop it. I don't think you're... Because you'd have to go through that whole front pouch, 2 layers of nylon, and then whatever you have in the middle of it. Like, I never really worry about that.
Yeah,
Personally.
I don't worry too much about my field radios, to be honest. The 705, I end up, honestly, I just don't take it out as much as I think I thought I would, because the form factor for me is just not as appealing as some of my smaller portable radios, but I do love the radio. I think the 705 is an amazing radio, so that's... but I end up not taking it out quite as much as I thought I would have. But
I think also I do more digital than I think both you or Adam do when I'm portable. Like I end up doing like WinLink, and I'm on FT8 among other things. So for me, the 705 is like so simple to use for that. So that's generally why I take it out there. More than other radios, because it kind of does everything. You can literally do whatever you want with it. It's like an upgraded KX2 from my not KX2, 818 or 817 from my point of view.
Yeah.
There was a comment earlier about key. So Kyle, when you were talking about your show that you do on Mondays, there was a comment about like having a video on wiring a key so that you don't short out your radio. And I wanted to come back around on that for 2 things. One, that's literally what you're doing with a key. It's shorting the line.
Right.
It's closing a switch. So if it's a straight key, it's literally closing it. The iambics though have like 3 wires. But yeah, Kyle, maybe add that to your list to talk about. I don't know if you're interested in that. People were I saw 2 comments on that so far.
Yeah, I will add that to the list. Also, I was thinking, we should hit on oscillators and just the different oscillators and how to wire that up. I'll put that on my list too.
That's always the Long End CW Club. They're an advocate of oscillators. They're a straight key group generally for people starting out, but a lot of the times they'll tell you how to like hook up your radio so that you're not keying and you're just outputting the side tone. And then they use that on the calls. So that's actually a really good point too. Have you reached out to Howard? He would probably jump on your show in a minute.
Well, so I just sent an email today to the mailing list and asked if I would like to show off all the different type of keys, but I don't have them, and I'm not an expert in any of the keys. Like, I'm a new CW op. So I did send out an email. If I don't get any responses from the general mailing list email, I'll reach out to Howard and see if I can get him on or see if he knows somebody that I can contact. But yeah, that's a good idea, Josh.
I would just say have him on there to just talk about Long End CW Club if people are.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Yep.
Well, if you have any trouble, let me know, because I know him pretty well. We'll get him on the show. Oh man, there's so many people that are posting things. Oh, there's so many good pictures. Again, if you're not on the Discord, you're missing out. I do want to talk to Thomas about this radio. So this is a sexy looking radio to me.
Which one's that? The RGO1?
Yeah, I've always heard it called as the Argo. You called it the RG. Is that what it's?
Yeah, I've been saying that, but they actually do say the Argo.
Okay.
Argo 1. So
that is a cool radio. I saw one of those at Hamcation, and it's a little big for me to get home, so I didn't buy it. But that is a cool looking radio.
It's one of those. It's like really simple. You can tell it was designed by somebody who is actually an active ham radio operator and DXer, because the ergonomics are great. Like mine still has the 3D printed knobs on it and stuff like that. The encoder is very fluid. It's weighted. It feels wonderful. It's a little more hands-on. It's sort of like a K2 in that, to do some things in it, you do have to dig into menus to set things up. Now, when you buy it, that they set it up with all the initial settings and everything, and it really does come to you, and you can just play with it and use it. But there are firmware updates that you apply to it to add new functionality, and that may require you digging into menu settings that otherwise wouldn't use, like the admin menu settings and setting things up. He is building modules for it, like I think he's got a noise blinker module coming out soon. It's just a really pleasant radio to operate. The QSK is buttery smooth. The audio is wonderful. And it's a lightweight radio for that size of radio. I don't know if you picked it up, Josh, but it doesn't weigh as much as, like, say, an FT891 or something, because it's a 55 watt radio or 50 watt radio instead of 100 watts. And it just has great characteristics. That's the thing about it. It's got a beautiful receiver on it. So it's just a pleasure to operate.
Yeah, that's really cool looking. Oh, there's so someone's recommending a Low Pro CS80 for the 705. There you go. And looks like he's got an antenna, coax, the mic and everything else connected or all dropped in there. So Low Pro camera gear is actually pretty good because it's padded. Oh, and there's another. This is also Thomas with a K1. What do you think about the K1? Or is that a K2?
K1. So I have a K2. That the one I sent a picture of, and by the way, that's Joshua that has that picture. And let me tell you, we learned really quickly when we were camping together on the same campsite there for the W4 SOTA camp out in North Georgia last year that he is like a big time pack geek too. So like I was like looking at all of his stuff. He has some Red Ox stuff. So yeah, he definitely is in that pack geek camp. But the K2, so this is a radio that I purchased once, sold it, purchased another one, sold it, and I purchased another one. And I love the K2. I think it's a great radio, and it's one that's really, out of all the radios I have that are, like a transceiver in that form factor, it's a very easy one to work on if you have to do repairs or modifications to it, because of course it started out life as a kit.
Right.
And this was built by a guy I know that was actually one of the first amateur radio clubs I went to in Ohio, and I bought that after I found out he had one that he wanted to sell. After I'd already purchased from him a KX1 as well. I actually have a second KX1. And he built that one, and he's an incredible engineer, an incredible builder. So it's like, it's nice knowing you got a piece of kit that was built properly. Because my first KX1 was not as well built, and I've had to go in and fix things and fix solder joints and stuff in it. And I really need to redo the whole thing, and I will at some point. The K1 now, I did own a K1 for a period of time, and I'd used one last year. My buddy Eric, WD8RIF, has a K1, and I used it at a park in Virginia during Hamvention weekend. We went on a POTA run, and it's a really nice radio to use too. The receiver sounds great. The audio is great. It's a little funky because the tuning on the K1 is really analog tuning with like a digital display. So like if you move from like one band to another, it's not going to remember what frequency you were on from one band to the other, because it all just depends on where that like 9-turn encoder is, where you left it.
Thomas, have you ever looked at an SBitX?
I don't know. How do you spell that?
It's literally an SBitX.
Oh, yes.
Josh and I both have one.
Let me just look at what these... I just want to see what this looks like to make sure I've got the right... Oh, yeah. This is from...
Arfan, or...
Yes.
Yeah, the guy over in India.
Yeah, so I had the one before this, the Ubitix, or whatever it was called. I've still got that. And I saw this one, but I never got it. It looks really cool though.
Yeah. I mean, he's had issues with it, and in fact, recently, I've gotten a whole bag of parts from him to rebuild some of the parts inside of it. But yeah, it's a really neat radio, because it's basically you stick a Raspberry Pi inside it, and that pretty much drives the radio from
That's
the
cool.
inside. Yeah,
That
His
is
designs are so clever.
that is a real tactical lunchbox. That
Mhm.
SBX.
It is.
But it is really light, though.
It is. It sounds really good too. Really,
Mhm.
really good quality audio because it's just a resonance chamber that everything rides in.
Wow. That's really cool.
And I don't know if anybody's ever really reviewed it from a CW standpoint either.
Oh no, I don't think so.
Yeah, I may try to. Right now, I've got a lot of things on my table, but I like the idea of this a lot. And I remember when it first came out, which hasn't been that long ago. I was tempted. I was very tempted.
I don't know how well he is at delivering now because because of the issue that he had with radio, which I guess they've decided they fixed it. I haven't looked at the forums lately, but so if you were to get one, hopefully it would have all that modification done to it. But then the Raspberry Pi part of it is the probably the biggest issue.
Oh yeah, it's hard to get those right now.
Yeah.
I say that, and I probably have 5 at my house right now.
That was the joke about that kit, is that once you factored in the price of the Raspberry Pi 4 that they use for the brains of that thing, it was almost half the price of the damn kit. It was pretty funny. Yeah, there's all those people that were calling me on FT8. So okay, here we go, guys. We got you up there now. Here we go.
Yeah, he. I mean, for those of us that already had them, the price of the radio was really pretty good. I think it was $299 shipped to me.
For a kit, you got the kit, the assembly kit, or the fully built?
No, the fully built, but without the Pi.
Oh, right. Yeah. That was the same thing I got too.
Yeah. I've never had any trouble with my finals, but.
Don, remember when we had the tech prepper on? Did you buy the? We all went to QRP Labs and we all ended up buying more. QDX? Did you get yours?
Yeah. I got the low. No, I have not. And by the way, that
I ordered and I haven't got them yet. I don't know what's going on yet.
Yeah, have you looked at that SARC? Did you ordered it, right? Yeah, mine is sitting in Germany right now.
Which one's the SARC?
The satellite tracker.
Oh, I got mine. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, mine's sitting. It left Australia some time back, and it's been sitting in in Germany for about 2+ weeks at least.
I got like one trip to Home Depot to sort this thing out, and then it's going to be on the air. It's pretty cool, Don. Yeah. The thing that I was kind of worried about was, and we're drifting a little bit into the world of satellite ham radio right now. So I have the Arrow antenna with the duplexer built in and the foam hand grip, and I have not wanted to strip the hand grip off of it. I just wanted to keep that, leave it alone, do its thing, whatever. So this antenna, you use a bit of angle iron on it, and it will go over the foam bit. So it like the whole kit, like in the way you build it up, like it does it in a way you don't have to mess with the arrow. The arrow kind of just attaches into it, and you're good to go. So I've got a couple more things I have to buy, and then we should be on the air with that. I'm pretty excited.
Oh, I'm looking forward to your videos on it because like I said, I'm not sure what's going to happen on mine because I don't know why it would go from Australia to Germany when it's destined for the United States, but they haven't marked it as missing or anything yet.
Why would it go there? That's weird.
I have no idea.
If it is shipped with DHL, DHL's primary sorting facility is in Frankfurt.
Oh,
yeah, but then why would it sit there for 2.5, 3 weeks?
European customs possibly, but who knows?
Yeah, I know. I don't think there's anything yet to worry about, but I just thought it was kind of odd, and I was wondering what Josh's experience when it was shipped was, but I'm just patiently waiting. I've got several things that I've ordered that and then one that I'm really excited to try to look into, and I have some questions about that, but not while we're covering other topics.
Well, we might be able to open it up a little bit. Like, by the way, this is an open forum normally. When we have interviewees like Thomas or whomever, we want to make sure we use the best of their time. But we've been going now for over an hour, so I think we can open it up a little bit. And Thomas, we're willing to take all questions, and everybody else that's listening, let's do that. Let's open it up a little bit.
I'll probably hop off here in about 5 or 10 minutes, just because I've had a pretty long day and I need to hit the sack. But
I understand, man. I understand.
But I'm happy if you've got some questions. I'm happy to answer them if I can, or at least misguide you, whatever you want.
Yeah. And Thomas, again, 1,000 thanks. I know you're on the East Coast and taking the time to join us here. So I think your knowledge,
it's my pleasure.
And your ability to transfer that knowledge has been valuable for many that have been listening, including myself. So thank you for what you do. And I will tell you, you're the ham radio. You're the ham radio YouTubers ham radio channel from my point of view. Where you're the channel that the YouTubers that make ham radio content like to watch, because it's like, I wish I could do what Thomas does. He just puts a camera on and just shoots the whole thing and doesn't care about what happens. He just uploads it. He doesn't give a damn about what the hell happens on his videos. And there's a certain bravado that goes into that I really appreciate, and I really do enjoy your videos. I will say, I do hop around a little bit. I go back and forth a little bit when I watch them.
Of course.
Because I think that's one of the coolest parts about it, is that you literally you hit record and then you just do the thing. And then that's it. It's a one take Charlie kind of thing. And that's the coolest part about it, I think. I give you a lot of respect for doing that. That's really cool.
I enjoy, for me, I think when I first started doing these, I wanted to show, because I actually have, when I watch other videos and things, I appreciate really good editing and, and sometimes for it to be really concise and stuff. But I felt like especially with activations and field work and things like that sometimes it's just nice to see how it really plays out in real time, because there are days when things don't work out as much. There are days when it's brilliant. There are days when things really unexpected happen, and it's just kind of fun to be there. And I think it takes out some of the intimidation factor it's like being mic shy or key shy. I think it just takes out that where you can say, okay, well, this is how it really happens. There's nothing going on here. Time's not being edited out. This is what it's like in real time. And I enjoy doing that. And I actually kind of feel now like when I'm shooting those videos that, someone's there with me. And it's kind of interesting because I've been on SOTA summits before, and and I'm there by myself or whatever, and it feels like I've got somebody there with me I'm talking to that I know. And it really surprised me too when I got into, I had to be convinced to put out a video on YouTube. I really did. I didn't want to do it. I thought no one really cared for this. And the response was really good. I was afraid I'd get the responses, like the trolley responses and stuff like that are out there, and it really has never materialized. The people usually that comment are nice, and I always tell people, hey, if you don't like this, there are better playgrounds to go to. So, but it's always my pleasure. I enjoy doing it, and it's just a lot of fun.
Well, we do appreciate you. Go ahead. Somebody's going to say something. Go for it.
Yeah, Thomas, something I asked around about a couple months ago, and I never mentioned it to you, and I meant to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
The process of, I've looked around lots of field setups, people setting up on YouTube. Nobody ever, and I mean nobody ever, shows launching the antenna in the trees and that whole process.
How dare you, sir? I have definitely done that.
You have?
How dare you, sir?
Well, all right. Thank you. I missed it.
But how much did you edit it, Josh?
No, you just stopped the thing. Come on.
Wait a minute. It seems like a relatively simple thing, but as I was asking around, people would pop up with 6, 7, 8 fundamentally different strategies to do it. And so I'm wondering, I mean, would you ever? And it's been kind of a party game for me where, you'd come on sometimes and you say, okay, now we're going to set up, and there'd be one cut in your show, and it would be, okay, we're at the table now, and the antenna's already set up. And so I'm wondering, do you think it's worth getting into that and the options, or is it just kind of a tedious part of the process that's not worth dealing with?
So are you talking about it from my perspective of making the video? I mean, like actually shooting that part of it? Or are you talking about...
including that, because your whole thing is, start to finish, except for that part.
So here's the real thing. So this is the... the watching the sausage, how the sausage is made in my videos anyway. This is even like a little further back from that, like how to even think about how the sausage is made
in the field.
It is. This is killing the boar in the field. So my process when I go to the field is, if I'm really tight on time, which I have been a lot lately, I don't film that part because it adds like another 2 or 3 minutes only for setting up the camera and stuff. Like I don't spend a lot of time with it. I don't mind the post-editing process, which is maybe just taking, I stop the camera to set it up, turn it on, do the deployment, turn it back off, move the camera, move everything over, set it up, and redo it again. I'm not editing out any important content when I do that. I'm just moving the camera around. That you don't have to see that part. But it takes a little extra time, not a lot, just a little extra time. And when I'm really pressed for time, I don't have time to do it. And I have, with almost every single one of my antennas, at least once, and usually multiple times, I've actually showed the full deployment process and in different environments. So I'm conscious of that. Like today, I did the SOTA activation, and Adam knows all about this, I'm sure. But like I went to this spot, really, really, really rocky summit. It's just a lot of rocks, and there were little trees and stuff. There's a tree for me plenty of trees to put wires in. But I literally in that spot just did not have room to set up the camera and launch this lineup, because I was literally launching it directly above my head, which is basically where I was operating. So I didn't show that one. And I think I even mentioned in the video, hey, I'm not showing you this, but if you want to see it, I did it like 2 videos ago or something, because I do show it. And I've been trying to do, every time I have the time to do it, I try to show the deployment, because those don't always go really well. I mess up those sometimes, but I use the arborist throw line enough now that I'm a little more accurate. You don't have to be like crazy accurate with those, because if you're just throwing it as a tree, you don't have to have the perfect branch each time. So you can get away with whatever.
Yeah, who cares? It doesn't matter.
I was surprised as I was asking around how many, like I said, how many different strategies people had. Mm-hmm. And somebody would say, well, you just throw it up, you pull it down, the antenna's straight up. And then other people would say, well, you pull the antenna back down again on the other side, you disconnect the throw line, you don't disconnect the throw line. And I started writing down a list of all the different ways, but there's a surprising number of different strategies. And it may just be, hey, stop doing it in weird, non-productive ways, or it might be, it's a kind of thing that you do it yourself, you figure out a way to do it, and that's the way you're going to do it 5 years from now. But are there enough different strategies that get you different advantages, or is it really just like some people tie their shoes this way? And
it's actually kind of an interesting. God, I almost want to make a video on this. So it also depends on where you are. So here out in the Southern California, like when I get up in the hills, we get a lot of conifers and fir trees and stuff like that, where you're that sucks to throw a line through, because it's just it's branches for days, right? And so you're like, oh, I got that thing halfway up in the tree. Let's go. I don't care. Like this sucks. Like the tree limb structure is a nightmare, all that stuff. Every time that I have put up a wire antenna in a tree, though, I have recorded it. And when I went to the Modern Rogues channel, that I walk them through how to throw a throw line. And we talked about, like, if you're a beginner, you do it granny style. And granny style is like literally throwing a bowling ball down the alley. You spread your legs, you rock that thing back and forth a couple times, and you throw it backwards over your head behind you. That's like granny style arborist throw weight. That's like the first level. And then there's the, like, facing the tree and throw it overhand kind of thing. That comes later. But yeah, there are actual tactics to get a
Well, there's
line
throwing styles, but then, are you going to pull it halfway over and do an inverted V off a branch? And
yeah,
it depends on the antenna.
Is there enough depth in this to actually categorize?
It depends on the antenna, the tree, like all that stuff. Because if it's full of limbs, I'm lucky if I could just get the wire up. Like, I'm happy with that. We'll do a sloper and we're going to get on with our lives. I'm not going to get complicated.
That was me today. Yeah. I had a 28.5-foot antenna. I mean, that's just nothing. It's really short. And like you talk about different techniques between, swinging it between your legs or doing it off to the side. I primarily, when I have an arborist throw line, I do it off to the side if I can stand back from the tree. If I've got a really heavy canopy over me and I really need to launch it kind of straight up, then I do the granny shot method when I do it.
It works.
And honestly, I'll let you in on a little secret. Just don't tell anybody else. This is between us, right?
Yeah. Nobody's watching right now.
Nobody's watching. So when you're doing an activation, a summit, a park, an island, a lighthouse, whatever, you can just about get away with anything that puts RF in the air. So, like, if you're deploying like a little random wire antenna, an end-fed half wave, you need them to be just decent enough that they give you a match if you don't have an ATU with you. Right. But they're pretty darn durable and resilient to. I've literally taken an end-fed half wave and strung it across shrubbery on top of a SOTA summit. And got like a 2-to-1 match and had a full activation with that. I wish that's the one time I did not take my camera with me, and I wish I would have done it because I thought, well, this will be a flop, and then it worked out really well. The random wire antennas, don't worry about if it's in an inverted V position. If it's directly up as a vertical, don't worry about how many counterpoises you have. I get a lot of questions like, well, why don't you deploy more counterpoises? I do what's simple and what works, what I have time for, which is going to be the easiest deployment I can possibly get away with usually, because I usually don't have a lot of time, and the more time I spend on deploying and taking down the antenna, the less time I'm going to have on the air. And I just find it's just not needed. You just don't need it for when you're the DX. If in a competitive situation, like I always look at it like for best practices, and I've got a little video I'm going to be doing about this actually, because this has been kind of brewing in my head. But so like you have the scale of like best practices are like at the top of the scale, and then like electrically sound practices that are maybe less efficient, and that's at the bottom, because you want to do things that make sense. You're not hurting your equipment or you're doing things that are electrically sound. When you're in a situation where it's competitive, like you're trying to work Bouvet, like when they were on the air, you need a high gain directional antenna with all the oomph you can get to make that work. So you want to pull out every single best practice you have. Go ahead.
Oddly enough, I'll just add, like, if you're new to, like, if you're going to do it, like, if you're going to do a CW activation for the first time, actually having like a crappy setup is actually not bad, because then you're not going to get stampeded on with a pileup.
That's right.
Like
you really
you know what I mean? Like, don't make your antenna too good, because then you're going to get a ton of people responding to you. You may not be ready.
And don't go to an all-time new one. Like, don't go to an all-time new park for your first one. Go to one that's
11. You blow your brains out. Yeah.
So but when you're the DX, when you're activating, you can get away with having a very compromised antenna if you want to. You can get away with having. I'll never forget. Like I broke an antenna. I broke the Chameleon Delta Loop antenna on top of a summit this was like my 11.5 mile hiking day. It was supposed to be 5 miles, and it was 11.5.
I love that antenna.
It's a cool antenna.
Really cool.
And I was so eager to try it on a summit. I'd never tried it on a summit before. I wanted to see how it would react. Well, I got up there, and it was on the Appalachian Trail. There were some through hikers went through. They were asking me all these questions about the radios, the antennas, and just chatting away. And I took one of the telescoping whips and just jammed it into the ground instead of the ground spike.
Hell yeah. Oh, really? Oh, my God.
Yes. And I broke the tip of that thing and could not pull it out or do anything. And so I had like, I thought, well, I'm just going to deploy it as it is because I didn't have a counterpoise to just turn it into a vertical. And I thought, I don't know if I can tune it up without the counterpoise. So what I did was I took the little clip line that goes between the ends of the two whips that are at a V shape, right?
Uh-huh.
That won't, by the way, I know now, will not fit the ground lug on the impasse light spike because I would have used it as a counterpoise if I could have. And I took that thing, hooked it up, and so like one end is out 17 feet on like one side of the V. The other side of the V is out like 2 feet, and like there's like, I don't know, 17, 20 feet of wire that's just dangling and, kind of like wrapped around the poles. And I thought, this thing's not going to work. I hopped on the air, and with 5 watts, my very first station was in Spain.
That's fantastic.
And like, so you can do that. Like, don't worry too much. Just get the antenna up. RF has got to go somewhere. So just get it up in a tree, get it up on a pole. Don't worry too much. As long as you can get a good match, or if you're using a resonant antenna that it's deployed well enough that it's going to be resonant, don't worry about it too much. It'll perform for you, and you'll do great.
Great, thanks. Side question related. The parks might be okay with you, throwing lines up into trees.
Mm-hmm.
Have you had just other people in the park, passers-by, come in and say, "Hey, well, what the hell are you doing up there?" And I'm guessing it might be more visible while you're throwing it rather than with it just being up.
So it's kind of funny. When I went to Canada this past summer, the people in Quebec especially, but also in Ottawa, I was asked about this in Ottawa too when I was going to an urban park and I set up. I got more questions, not about the radio, not about the fact that I had Morse code going on. They just wanted to know how I got it way up in the tree. And they're like, "How did you do that? What? How did you throw that with you?" They were like looking up in the tree and asking me questions. I was like, and I was like, "No, I've got an arborist throw line. This is what arborists use and stuff." And I had to explain that probably 3 different times in Quebec, and I had to and once in Ottawa. So, but I'll say, I usually, my rule of thumb is all the parks I go to, really, it's just not, park rangers don't care. They support it. They love the park being used for something that's non-destructive, which these things are. We're not damaging trees or anything when we're using it. But when I go out to an urban park, and especially like in Quebec, most of the parks I activated there were all-time new ones. So they'd never seen a ham out there putting stuff in trees. And so what I would do is when I launched a line into a tree, I'd make sure I wasn't doing it while everyone was watching me.
And you blow the tree a little kiss. You say thank you so much for your service, and
that's exactly it.
Yeah.
And but I never had anybody bother me about it. Never an issue whatsoever.
Great, thanks. I never heard about arborist lines before I saw your video of you talking about it, and I've since picked up an arborist line and a little weight bag.
Good.
And a Chameleon MCOM 3 that you mentioned very favorably. Haven't used any of them yet, but I'm about to, and it's thanks to you. So appreciate it very much. Yeah,
I appreciate that. And actually, Josh, I wanted to say one more thing. He brought up something, and this is, I think, an important thing for arborist throw lines. You were saying that it matters, the tree matters too, and that is really true.
Oh, yeah.
People ask me the weight of the throw bag, and you should have more than just one weight with you. So I don't know what yours is that you carry with you. I
always go with the 12 because I have so many fir trees. That's why I carry
12.
the 12.
12's a really good one. 16 is almost too heavy for any time. Like, it's just too big. But 12 is a really good solid one. If you have a branch dense tree, you do not want to use an 8-ounce weight.
No.
Because those branches just like completely throw too much drag on it, and you really need a heavier weight when you're doing that. If you've got like a big oak tree or something that's an old growth one with big branches, and you know that you're not going to hit a bunch of little tiny branches, you can totally get away with an 8-ounce weight each and every time. But you will lose a weight. I've never done this so far, but you could lose a weight if you're launching one with an 8-ounce weight too high in a tree because of the weight of the line that you're having to, that if it's trailing 35 meters of line or something, that the weight of the line may also act, to make a little more resistance when it's going through. So the higher you go, the heavier it needs to be, and the thicker the branches and the more dense the branches are, the heavier the weight needs to be as well.
I can imagine once in a while, probably on a lighter one, you'd watch it go up, go over the top of a branch, and then whip around and tie itself around the branch 2 or 3 times. Have you ever seen that happen?
It has not happened to me. I don't find the arborist ones won't do it.
Yeah,
the arborist ones won't do it, but they're pretty good about gliding down. But what you'll see with a really light one high up is it'll go over the branch and it'll come down like maybe 10 feet, and then it just kind of slows down. And
so my advice is if you have a very branch dense tree is to try and pierce right through it with the line. Is actually get the weight to go right through the middle of the tree. Don't aim for height, because height's going to come up and swoop down. Pierce right through the side of it and come out the other side, and then connect your wire and drag it through and just do sloper, and then that's it.
Yep.
So put your operating position on the other side where you threw the weight through, and then pull through as a sloper, and then use the line, and that's it. Like, you're done. Like that, boom, boom, you're done. It's very easy.
When you break it down, this is, again, part of the deeper subject than it seems. When you break it down, do you disconnect the bag, or do you just pull it back up?
You disconnect the bag and connect the wire to it and pull it up.
And you always want to make sure, this is a really important one. I screwed up one time. I did it unintentionally. I was in too much of a hurry, which you really shouldn't be when you're packing up. And it was a super cold day too, and I was on a summit. You should always keep your so when you throw the line up, what I always do is I go to the opposite end of the tree, throw toward my operating position, so that when the line comes down, I can attach the end of the antenna, pull it up, and use the throw line as the hoist to hold it up, of course. When you're done, I pull the antenna down with the throw line still attached, right? Like, and I guess... Yeah, I do. Because if you pull it all the way through, and like you've got the end of the antenna down, like in an inverted V, and you pull it off, if you get the end of your antenna stuck in the tree somehow, like let's say that the S hook or the little end of it somehow gets stuck in a branch, like in a Y of a branch, you have nothing to pull from the other side to get it unstuck.
Oh, I can see what you're saying. I almost always do sloper. And I will generally take the S hooks off, and I do a sheet bend on the
yes,
the end of the, I won't do inverted V almost ever, to be honest. Over a dense tree like that with many limbs, which is what I have, I never do inverted V. It's always slope.
Yeah. See, and for me, I'd use a lot of inverted V types for longer wire antennas, like 40-meter and fed halfways and stuff. But you will find, I mean, if you just keep it connected, it does mean you have to pull it through and then pull the length all the way back when you do it. But it does give you that extra bit of help. And what happened to me once was on a summit. It was like I said, my hands were freezing. I'd been doing CW. My hands were just like really cold, and I was in a hurry to get in the car. I was like chilly, and even though I was wrapped up nicely, it was just so windy up there. And I pulled the line through. And it was a 40-meter end-fed half-wave. It's a Pac-10 actually. And this is really credit to how good those Pac-10s are. I unclipped the throw line. I packed up the throw line, unclipped it because I was in a hurry, and then I pulled the rest of the antenna through. And then somehow on the end of it, it didn't have an S-hook. It just had like a little tiny attachment for holding the end of the antenna. It got stuck in the tree. And solidly, and I had to yank and yank and yank at that thing, and it finally broke and came down. And if I would have just left the line on it, I could have just tugged it like once, and it would have been done. It'd have been fixed. So
here's what I will say: if you don't want to mess, and there's nothing wrong with throw lines. I have somewhat gone away from throw lines because of the realities out here in the Southwest, because of all of the fir trees that we have. I will take a telescopic rod, and this is actually, I've modified this now to kind of do what Mike K at MRD does. So you get yourself a telescopic rod. I like the SOTA beams rods, all those. And George Pactena is actually the one that turned me on to this. So I'll pull the image up. George is a big advocate of these beaners that he puts on all of his Pactenas. Well, so if you bore out the hole on the Pactena on this S beaner that he uses, see that bored out? I drilled it out a little bit, so that will fit the topmost element on the SOTA beams mast. And so I'll use that on the SOTA beams mast, put my wire through, my wire is through here as a retention. Oh, not focused. Sorry, there you go. My wire goes through here as a retention. This goes through the top hole in the mast. And then I just take the mast, if there's a tree, and I'll just push the mast into the tree. Not guide or anything like that. I'll just lean it over so that it falls into the tree. And the tree limbs, particularly those really dense firs, will just hold it. And you can do your whole activations with a sloper antenna. You don't have to do anything fancy. It's very, very simple.
That's clever.
Yeah, that's the Mike K at MRD special. You just push the telescoping mast into the tree and just get on with your life, because it's a super pain.
Yeah, when I try that, invariably I'm somewhere in the middle of the activation. I'm running over to grab the pole as it's coming down from the wind blowing it out of the tree.
Now here's my second piece of advice. So the one thing that I'm a huge advocate of, if you've watched my channel for any amount of time, is Gear Snake. You go to Walmart and you buy that stupid rubbery orange wire bundle of Gear Snake, as it's called. And I'll show you. This is the bag one of the bags I didn't show today. So my EDC Go bag, which is my camera bag, and I put video stuff in here, always has Gear Snake attached to it, and it's super long, and it's literally just wire that has rubber, rubberized whatever around it. I use this to tether the telescoping mast to a park bench. I've used those little floral rods that are shoved in the ground for protecting trees and whatnot, and I've just lashed my telescoping mast to it with this. Works great. Gear Snake is fantastic stuff.
Yeah, and that's a great solution. But I mean, I'm lucky enough to have a tripod, and I actually use a tripod, because I've had too much trouble. Just like what Mike shows is leaning it up into the tree and then walking away. Every time I do that, invariably it comes crashing back down when the wind comes along. And so I haven't had much luck. The other thing is too, you're trying to get the sloper to slope, so you're pulling back a little bit on it.
Yeah.
Now, if it's well stuck in the tree, you'll be able to do that a little bit. But again, I've had the wind come along and just push it out, and invariably it's when I'm at a club event when that happens.
Right.
So I look like an idiot.
Well, I mean,
anyway.
That's also a good reason for something like a Buddy Stick Pro kind of thing. Or now that I'm on this shot, I can show you something that showed up the other day. I'm super excited to talk about this, but hold on, let me grab this.
And I'm going to interject here. I am going to have to hop off here.
Right.
But thank you guys so much. I wish I could stay a little bit longer, but I really do need to hit the sack. I've had a really long day. So.
Yeah, take it. Thomas, thank you so much. Feel free to hop out at any time, and I really appreciate you. We'll have you on again. I think we already have hinted at a new video that we'll do with Thomas in the future, but thank you so much. Appreciate it. Taking your time.
And Thomas, you're welcome back at any time.
That's it.
Be glad to have you.
That's right.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate all the kind comments and all the great questions and stuff. And I'll talk to you guys later. Take care.
All right. So here's I'll hold this up. Here's the Chameleon antenna POTA mast. This is a drive over mast plate. Huge. But look at the diameter of this mast plate. Like I can put my hand in here. There's a mast that goes with this. We talked about it on the factory tour. So they sent me it, and I'm really excited to use it, because, if you got a vehicle, a rollover mast. So even if you have like Don, you run ham sticks. I run screwdriver antennas and whatnot. But
Well, yeah,
there's
I've
no
gone
real
to an
replacement.
ATOS, but
Yeah, there's no real replacement for having a really good mast with a wire antenna that you can stretch out and all that. But yeah, so the mast that goes on this is like 25 feet. So that's like perfect for 20 meters. So this is like
what is the diameter of that bottom part of it? That's
pretty
huge.
big. Yeah, it's a
And
the mast is perfectly fit for this too. That goes
yeah, I
into
wish
it.
I wish I could show you the one I bought from Jason. It somebody made it, and it folds over, so that part that you're showing that the tube goes in, it'll fold over. But that thing, it literally weighs, I think, 75 pounds.
Oh, this is nothing.
And
It's all aluminum.
yeah,
on the
yeah,
one
it's
I
all.
just saw.
I've got one too that's all aluminum as well. But that one is so huge that I have used it in the yard and stuck the mast in it, and I don't even drive the car over it. It's heavy enough on its own. And if you get it in the right, in the right angle. But so, what is the mast then that they?
Yeah, I'm gonna pull it up. I'm gonna pull it up because people are already asking about it.
Because George actually has his own mast, and I really like the way he does his mast.
So it's the Chameleon POTA mast. Let's pull that up. And they come in a bunch of different sizes now. So it can't run like a full HF beam setup, but it can do like a VHF beam or a 6-meter beam. But you can put all of the Chameleon antennas on it. So like the Delta Loop, I'm going to put the Delta Loop on it and send it up like 20 feet. So the 15-footer, there's 3 options, 15, 20, and 25. The 15-footer, I believe, is 4.5 feet in its collapse size. So you could put it in the back of a truck kind of thing. And what's cool about the POTA mast is that they're a twist lock, almost like a bayonet connector. So you turn it over and it drops in and it's locked. And you do that for however many sections there are, which is pretty nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why that thing is so big around.
Yeah. It's chunky.
Beam on the top of it.
Right. It's got the
way,
the weight.
When you have time for my question, it's going to be very similar to what you're looking at right there.
I think we can take it now. I think we open it all up.
So here's what I'm doing, because I mentioned it to you on the HF net the other night. I am looking at hex beams, and however, there is no way I'm putting a tower up. So I'm looking at a Roan H30 or H20. And then the thing is, I don't know if you saw Jason's video about that VHQ hex beam.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, that thing is like
it's
built
heavy.
like a tank.
It's heavy.
Yeah, but it's heavy.
Yeah.
And I don't see in where we live, meaning me and Jason, where we live, that we get that kind of weather. If you do, and what he's saying he's going to do with it, when I talk to him about it, he's thinking of using it in Galveston. And yeah, in Galveston, they get huge winds.
Yeah.
Makes sense. But I'm looking at an NA4RR because it's a much lighter build, and it looks, I mean, that people have been using them for years. But then I have a, what is it? AR 500 high gain rotor.
Wait, what was it? NA4RR?
Yeah, NA4RR. And it's a and by the way, I'm not going to do 40. I don't see any reason to put 30 and 40 on there.
As I've again gotten more experience with a lot of different antennas, hex beams and a lot of beam antennas, you can get into 20 without much issue. Getting into 40 though, with any amount of gain is kind of difficult. Like you're literally talking about some considerable space that you need to do that.
Well, not only that, really, to do gain antennas correct, you need them at the correct height.
Right.
And
I
now,
agree.
whereas like at 30 feet or 20 feet that I'm going to be able to get on this mast, it's not going to be great on 20. But pretty much everything else it will be. By the way, I've got a 10-meter Moxon already. So I've got 10 meters covered, but I really want a beam on 20. What I really want is a directional antenna, not so I can direct a beam out, but so I can reject noise on
Sure.
from the other direction. Now, a hex beam won't do that as well as some other beams. I know that, but at least I'll get some. And the Moxon, like I said, I can tell on the Moxon, just a Moxon, that just that one band is doing well. But I can't stack Moxons the way that I could
Right.
a hex beam. And a hex beam is going to do the same job. So that's what I'm really looking at.
So the thing with hex beams is it's not a hex beam is actually kind of a pretty straightforward antenna if you think about it.
Right.
It's really about like what is the center connector? Like it's all like a hub-based system that drops on the center connector. Like how well is that weatherproofed? And then how easy or like robust is the connection material or how they do the connections. So I don't know anything about this antenna. I've never seen this before.
Oh, really?
And the only picture I'm seeing of it is like this very far off shot. So it's like I don't know what to say about it. Have you thought about spider beams? Because spider beam says like, you know, they're
and I'll tell you. So I'm on the Facebook group for hex beams.
Okay.
And KIO and NE4RR are the ones of choice. Now the VHQ, everybody is talking about it now because of the basically a lot of these guys live in New Hampshire and Maine and so forth.
New Hampshire.
And they get iced over in the winter and then the whole thing collapses on them. Well, sure, but not in Texas. We're not going to have that problem. And by the way, there's somebody there that's saying that they've got it on a Roan 9H50. Basically, my question, because the hex beam part of it, I'm not asking you about that. What I'm really wondering is on a Roan 30 or H30 or H20, can it really take that much weight and can it hold up a hex beam? Because I really, if basically my decision is if I have to have a tower in order to have the thing up, then I'm not gonna do it. I'm not even gonna bother with it.
I have a couple concerns.
I can't do it. Yeah, go ahead.
So you're talking the push-up style, right? Of the Roans?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, see the guy that's talking about, he's got a 9H50.
Yeah. So
in the chat.
What is a 9H50? Roan?
It's a 50-foot push-up, whereas the 30
That's what
and
I
the
have.
20 you have the 50?
I think so. Yeah.
Those things are heavy.
Sure, but hear me out, okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
So they're kind of a handful to get like hoisted up, right? You would not be able to hoist it, obviously, with the hex beam attached. I think you know that. So
no, I don't. So that's something to
no,
consider.
you would not be able to hoist.
Remember, I'm going 20 or 30, and there's only 3 sections, not.
It
like
doesn't matter
5.
if you had a fully. Oh, they said they hoisted it with the hex beam attached. Okay. Is it one guy though? Like if I did it, I don't know that I would be able to push the hex beam up and 2 of them on a scaffold. Okay. So that's starting to make a little bit more sense. I could not by myself put a fully assembled hex beam. Depending on weight, like if you told me like the buddy hex, yeah, I could push that thing up all day. Like that weighs nothing.
Well, that's what I
deal.
want. I just can't get him to, sell me one.
Right. So it would be difficult for me to. The hex beam itself weighs 20 pounds. Oh, okay, that's not that bad. It really.
Yeah, it's a 25 pound.
Oh, okay.
The NA4RR is only 25 pounds.
That's not bad then. Okay, you might be able to do it. Okay, so then a couple of things jump to mind. Is it like attached to the eaves of your house or anything like that, or is it going to be guide?
Yeah. Yes. So I'm going to guide it, but listen to this.
Okay.
So right now, my Moxons are up on 2 sets of 20 meter, or sorry, two of the top rail fence posts stacked on top of each other. That is screwed to my privacy fence. My privacy fence is anchored by 3-inch 3-inch pipes that go down 3 to 4 feet in the ground and are concreted in on each 8-foot section. So I am on one of those sections with 2 of those things that you attach to your house, and that's what holds the moxons up. And I don't think that the wind loading on a hex is going to be a whole lot more than what I've got on the moxons today. And those things have not moved. And I think you may or may not have seen, but when I had that storm blow through some months back, and my fiberglass pole bent over almost probably, well, at the top it was 90 degrees bent over, but I mean, down further on it was probably 10, 15. I mean, so we were talking, I measured the winds at that time at 65 to 70 miles an hour. That top rail did not move, and neither did my carbon fiber mast that's 34 feet in the air.
So let's, Mark is in the chat and he has a similar setup here, and he is guying it at basically every extension point on that mast.
Yeah, the mast comes with guying points on every section of the mast.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's no problem. Just
if you guy it, hell yeah, then no problem. If you guy it, yeah, no problem. If you have that mast properly guyed out, a hex beam should be fine. Now,
I'm going to guy it, and
how are you going to rotate it? Like, what are you going to rotate? How are you going to rotate it?
I have a rotator.
So you're going to put a rotor at the top?
I can. That's again, I haven't made the decision. It's what do you think would work?
Well, so that adds. Okay, so then there's another problem. So that adds weight. That adds the weight of the rotor, the mass that goes on the rotor, and then also the hex beam on the top. So it's not just the hex beam at that point. It's all that stuff. The rotors are heavy.
Not the one I have. I mean,
well,
I don't know how heavy it is. I don't.
At 20 pounds,
it feels light to me.
At 20 pounds on the hex beam plus the mast, and you can get an all aluminum 1-inch diameter mast. That's probably gonna. Yeah, I don't know. That starts to get to that gets to the point where you're the top guy point is where you're gonna stop, and then you got to put the rotor on top of that.
Yeah, which means
it's kind of difficult.
15, 20 feet.
Oh, so Mark does have let me see. Okay, so Mark, where's your picture, Mark? Did I miss your picture? Oh, there it is. Oh, yeah, so there you go. Look at Mark's picture in the snow there. So he does have the hex beam itself weighs about 20 pounds, minus guide, hex wind load. As you can see, there is a thrust bearing at the top of the support that the mast goes through. The rotor is on a platform at the bottom so he's rotating the entire mast. Oh, do you see that, Don?
Yeah.
You see what he's doing there?
See, that's possible with the privacy fence, because I could come off the privacy fence with those metal supports and support the thing at the bottom of it. And he's got an H50.
So he's got
a 50-foot mast above that rotor.
By the way, this would be a really good opportunity to, and I'm going to pull this up just so that we can diagram this a bit. Okay, it's kind of hard to see. Let me pull this up. All right, so you got a hex beam at the top there. About 2/3 of the way down is a masting system that the mast that we're talking about, the roan, is connected to via a rotator, right? So the rotator adds the twist factor, which is what we want for being able to turn the beam, okay? But he has something called a thrust bearing, and a thrust bearing is a really, really, really important part of an antenna system. What it does is allows you to screw in hard into the mast, and it carries the weight of what could potentially be shoved down on top of the rotor. To do that, though, you have to lift up on the mast, basically, tighten in that thrust bearing really, really tightly, and then go to the bottom wherever your rotor is, and then
Yeah.
tighten up the rotor, and then the rotor can freely spin around that thrust bearing. So if you
Right.
do
So
that, then that's okay. But you see his system; he's got
yeah.
a pretty articulate system there.
Right. Well, the kit that I have for the rotator, because I've literally
Don, you
got it in
said
my
this
hand.
question is going to be easy. I'm just
No,
kidding.
I
I'm
didn't say
kidding.
it was going to be easy. That's why I've been waiting.
Oh, okay.
But no, so I have a high gain AR 500 rotator, and it comes with steel thrust bearings
Oh,
already.
okay. Okay.
So it's basically everything you need. Now, it says it's a rugged heavy duty motor, but I know these things are rated for certain, rated for certain things, and this one was actually pretty. What the reason I have this is that for some reason Gigaparts had it in their, like, Steve's special bargain basement thing, and it was
Yeah.
it was inexpensive.
Mhm.
I mean, compared to most rotators, I think this one was like in the $200 range, as opposed to the Yaesu's at over $1,000.
Yeah. So
So
the thing to keep in mind here is obviously Mark has a really nice he has a mast setup before you even get to the Roan, if you think about what he's done here. And he's rotating from the bottom.
yeah, but it looks like his mast or his setup is he's got a single post, wooden post stuck in the ground, and then he mounts to that.
Yeah, so he's got a post. Let's call it the
Mhm.
pre-mast, the base mast, has the rotor connected to it as a solid
Yeah.
point, and then above that is the thrust bearing, and
Yeah,
that's
well,
carrying the weight of the Roan.
remember that I have, instead of that wooden post,
Mhm.
I have a 3-inch metal pipe in the ground. Right. That's in fact, I've got them every 8 feet all the way around the house.
Which is fine, but you'd have to weld a platform or something to put the rotor on, and then
Yeah.
an upper side to do the thrust bearing. And if you do that, hell yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I think I could do that.
Yeah.
It would stick out a little bit in the driveway, but what the hell?
Yeah, so the Roan will handle it, assuming it's guyed correctly.
Right. And I was planning on guying it. That, to me, that's not a problem. And now the thing is, my guy ropes would not come down to the ground, but I've got trees around that I can literally, tie it to, or
Sure.
get it into. So I don't have any issues with that.
Mhm.
And that would keep it off the ground so you can mow around it and everything else. Because that was the other thing I was thinking, is how the hell would I do this? The other thing I wanted to know was, what did you think about the tower like you've got on the top of your house? Because I have no idea about those and how they work. And because you've obviously got a pretty good sized beam up there, you had a hex beam on top of it at one time,
Mhm.
and it doesn't look like it's all that tall. So
No, and in fact, I probably should have gone taller, but I probably couldn't have been able to wrangle anything on my own if I did that. So on my
Mhm.
roof, I have a Glen Martin 4.5-foot tower, and it lag bolts directly to the roof studs. So you have to be able to find the hole, if you will, like find the right spot to go directly to the roof joist, and that's where it's distributing the
Yeah.
weight.
See, that's the problem I have with those. Is the one thing we do get in Texas is hail, and when it hails, they're out replacing your roof, and that happens about every 3 to 5 years.
Well, that's a
And
problem.
so, yeah, I would not want to take that thing down every 3 to 5 years.
No.
If it's connected to my privacy fence, it ain't, those posts aren't coming down. And all you'd ever do is you'd rebuild the fence around it, or put the 8-foot sections, new 8-foot sections in. The posts are never, will never have to come out of the ground. Not that I know of. I've never seen anybody replace their posts. But yeah, that I
Those
think
posts,
that's probably possible.
How deep do you think those posts go?
Oh, they go. I know, because I know the guy that did it. They're 3 to 4 feet in the ground.
Okay. All right. What kind
and
of
concreted
footing?
in. What?
Yeah. What kind of footing do they have around them?
Meaning?
Concrete footing.
Yeah, it's concrete.
Yeah, but how wide? Like how much concrete do you think?
Probably a foot around them.
Again, if you're guying it, then it's probably
not
fine.
a lot because the driveway starts too close to that, so they go out to in some cases, all the way to the driveway, and that's about probably a foot and a half around.
Ohm in the chat, and Don, I'm not cutting you off. I'll come back to you in a second. Super chat asks, what frequencies do you recommend for SoCal listening? Newbie here. It depends on where in SoCal, but I would start out with 146.520, the national simplex calling frequency. There's a ton of people out there all day long. There are a number of repeaters. There is the WIN system. There is the POTA system. There is the Keller Peak repeater system and the Catalina Island repeater system. And those would all be recommended repeaters I would add in your repertoire. But I would start with National Simplex for sure for ham radio.
Yeah, and I was going to say that assumes ham radio, and we're assuming that's what he's.
I think that's what he. I hope so.
I would hope so. Yeah,
I hope so. But yeah, Don, that's a good question that you raised.
Like I said, my concern, because I can't find anything anywhere really on a Roan mast with a hex beam on it. But fortunately I asked because there's somebody here that's done it. And because the guy part of it,
it's really easy to guy. It's really easy to guy, and those plates rotate, which is like, perfect, because then you can rotate the whole damn thing. Who cares? Go nuts. Like it's a cool. The Roan push-up mast is really nice. It is actually a really cool system what they've done. I'm happy I put that thing up.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I wouldn't even care if I either, number one, didn't rotate it at all and just simply pointed at Europe, or number two, hand rotate it, because that's what I'm doing with the Moxons today. I literally, the two fence posts I have sit on a stepper stone, and those braces that I have that are screwed in there, they have huge bolts on them, but I don't tighten it completely down. And so I can just go out there with my hand and turn it, and it'll rotate it. So I don't mind doing that either. The problem is generally with a push-up mast, it will not rotate that easily because the sections going up will spin as well. So, but I've got, and by the way, my 20 meter, or the one that I have that's going up 20 feet with the Moxons on it, is not guide, and that thing stays up, like I said, flat straight, because so when I connect it to the fence, it is connected on the cross beams of the fence with those big things that you bolt on your house. And so there's one at probably 4.5 feet, and then there's one at 2 feet and one at 3 feet. So it is literally bolted to the thing in 3 separate pieces, about 3 feet apart, something like that. And when you've got that much on it, I don't know that you really need to guy it. Now that is not a sectional antenna or a sectional mast or a push-up mast. With a push-up mast, I will guy it.
I think you got the right approach. I think you're good. Ohm is back with another super chat. By the way, you don't have to do that, man. I hear your comments. You already sent one. You're good. He said Westminster, California specifically, and Don, I'll come back.
Go ahead.
I think you're good. I think you're squared away. So there are multiple people I know, hams in Westminster. By the way, you're not that far away from me here in Cerritos, that are on 146.520. And he's on a handheld, so okay. You may have to go outside to hear a lot of things. With that said, I would avail yourself of all the myriad repeaters that we have. There are so many repeaters we have. Just use Chirp or whatever programming software you have for your radio. Load up all the repeaters and go nuts on that scan button and just start scanning through all of them. There's a ton of repeaters that you should be able to hear even inside your house or home or wherever you're at in Westminster. So you should not have a problem. There's a lot of activity in Southern California. So I hope that helps. But always National Simplex calling frequency for sure. Make sure you got that in there. Now, Jody, Jody, you're normally like the first person that tells me a thing, but I can't tell you how many people have sent me the message that Ford halts the production and shipments of the electric F-150.
Mm-hmm.
My inbox has been blown up by this. Yes, I know. Thank you. So let's take a look at this really quick.
Well, you got one and they didn't.
That's right. So, as much as I trust Ford, which is as far as I can throw them, I'm not going to try and pretend that, they're not some huge soul-sucking corporation. But they comment somewhere in here that all of the deployed F-150s have not exhibited the problem. Not that they don't have it, that they haven't exhibited it. So I don't know what that means. Obviously, I have not caught in fire, but my big running joke on a lot of my Instagrams and TikToks is I put a fire extinguisher in my truck. If I catch on fire, I'll let you all know. Because I don't know, man. What do you want me to say? I don't know. To think that there's like no vehicle that it has problems, like sure, they all got problems, and electric vehicles definitely have been having more problems than others. I know what I got into. We'll see how it goes. So far, I'm okay, but who knows? Who knows?
Does that truck self-drive?
It does if you put it into Blue Cruise and you're on the freeway. If it's on the freeway, it will self-drive. You do have to look forward and do that whole thing. Blue Cruise is what they call it. Oh, thank you again for the super chat. Now it's like $20, man. Thank you so much. I hope that helps. I do monitor Simplex 146.520, but I'm not on there all the time. If you walk outside, hold on, I'll plug this radio back in. Hold on, 1 second. All right. So if you're so inclined, if you want to walk outside and give your call sign and see if I can hear you from Westminster, I'm actually pretty close to you, so you might be able to make it. I don't know. We'll see. If you want to try, it's okay. If you don't want to. 146.520 is National Simplex calling frequency. You want to make sure your transmit and receive is the same frequency. Anyway, I'm listening. Okay. Well, I think we answered all of the ham radio problems today. And we lost a lot of folks. Who's still here? I think everybody bailed. Thomas left and everybody's like, I gotta go. We're not gonna play around with that.
By the way, I have worked Germany, Hungary, someplace in Gora, which I'm not sure where that is, on 40 meters just in the last hour or so. I mean,
really,
it's like Europe is blowing in here. Yeah.
So I just linked to Not a Rubicon's new video that he dropped. Apparently, I'm somewhere. Yep, there I am in the midway point. Yep, that was a video I definitely shot for him. And he cut out the whole opening. Oh, shoot. Damn it. He cut out some of it. Oh, Trucking Ham. Maybe somebody in the chat will know better than me. He asks, have the bugs been worked out of the MIC HF? And if so, who is a trustworthy source? I have no idea. Anybody know about the MIC HF? Maybe Don does. Don, you know anything about the MIC HF?
Yeah, I do. What do you want to know about it?
I don't know. He was asking if the bug's been worked out, and if so, who is a trustworthy source for it?
No. The most trustworthy source of the MCHF is the guy that's developing the MCHF. The Chinese clones, they're the only. The guy I bought it from is a guy, and I'd have to look it up, but it's a guy that will take a Chinese clone and he literally goes through it top to bottom and make sure that everything is on frequency and that it's transmitting.
Mm-hmm.
And then he'll send it to you with a guarantee. And it's still running around. I mean, when I bought mine, and this was like 2 years ago, it was about $505, I believe.
Wow, that's expensive.
So, yeah, but it is a very well-built QRP radio. I mean, it's equivalent to the 6100, and hell, they're charging $600 for these things.
Yeah, but 6100 is like a Linux box, basically.
Yeah, I mean, but this is that one is basically a. It's not Linux, but it's like, what is that called? Or it's kind of like an ESP32, but that's not what's in that thing because it wasn't around then.
Mm-hmm.
But it's microcontroller, so it's microcontroller code.
Yeah,
running inside there. It's still an SDR, and they make improvements to the firmware on it all the time. Thing is that the biggest challenge that you have with those is whether or not you get enough RAM to continue to, or ROM or whatever it is, to continue to take the firmware updates. Because up to a point, like the one I have is called a 918.
Mm-hmm.
And then now there's a 928. And there are certain firmwares that will not go on a 918 that will go on a 928 simply because it has more RAM. And that's the thing. I mean, again, the guy in England, and you're going to pay more than that. And you're going to pay more than the 500 here
mm-hmm.
To get it shipped here. And then it's going to be a freaking kit with SMDs on it. So that's the reason a lot of people will go, okay, we're going to buy their Chinese clone. Even though I do agree, when I bought this thing, I wasn't really, I didn't know of all the controversy, but I get that guy did not want this thing cloned. And so I think there's a lot of people it's a contention for them that you buy a Chinese clone of it. Mm-hmm. Because he doesn't like it. He
right.
really thinks if you want one, you buy it from him.
Right.
I didn't know that when I bought mine, but right. I can totally understand it because I've been through the process on the Malahite, and the guys on the Malahite knew that there were going to be clones, but they didn't know they were going to be that crappy. And so now they've been very good. The guys in Russia have been extremely good on the Malahite, supporting even the Chinese clones. So, and there's a pretty good community around them. But I eventually went to and bought the actual radio from Russia, and it is far superior than any clone I've ever seen. And I do have one clone, but that one that I got from Russia is, just a superior radio. And I would suspect that the MCHF is probably the same way.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, that was always one of those radios that was like it was on the list of radios to check out, but it was rife with all this controversy. It's like, I don't want to dive into all this controversy and try and figure it all out. So I was just like, I'll leave it. We'll leave it on the side here, but so I think I'm going to wrap things up here because my mother-in-law actually came over with my sister-in-law and her wife. So I'm gonna go hang out with them. I will leave you all with a comment. Oh, Don, hey man, thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Really appreciate you. You don't have to do that. We just
I don't mind doing it.
We appreciate you being here, Don. We really do appreciate you. So thank you for that. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you guys putting up with me.
No, man. So I do have. It's not homework. I would only recommend this. I don't know how I feel about this. Has anyone watched His Dark Materials?
No.
It's on HBO Max, and
okay. Well, that's why.
It's kind of like a Harry Potter world. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. His Dark Materials. It's based on a book series, of course. Pretty good world building.
Mm-hmm.
I would put it as a go watch it. It's like it's like a kids show that doesn't know it's a kids show. So there's like violence and stuff that like I can't really have my kids watch it, but it's about the main character is like a young teenager kind of thing.
Oh.
But the adults are like not great. And she's kind of put in all these situations where it's like, this is obviously not okay for a child to be in. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Very British. A lot of British actors. The Ellie from The Last of Us is actually in it as well. In the second season, she shows up. It's pretty good. And I think the good news about this is like if you like it, there's 3 seasons of it that you can just go binge. It's pretty good. So that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, I watched this thing called Lockwood and Co. on Netflix, and it's some teenagers, and the whole premise of it is that something's happened, and you never do find out what. I'm sure they're going to cover that in other seasons, but you don't know what, and there are ghosts roaming everywhere that are killing people all the time, and nobody really knows what's happened. And so,
right.
the premise that's part of it, but then the actual thing is that kids, as they're growing up until they reach just at adulthood, they can actually see the ghosts, and so they have the facilities to actually fight the ghosts.
Oh,
okay. Andy's. See, I wonder if Andy liked it. I actually enjoyed it.
Well, Andy was talking about His Dark Materials, but Lockwood
His
and
Dark
Company?
Materials. Okay, yeah, and it's more of a kids show, but it is very like scary. So there's a lot of scary things.
Where's that
There's
on? Netflix?
It's on Netflix. Yeah.
Okay. Right on. Lockwood and Company. All right, I'll check that out.
Yeah.
I do like to scare my kids, so that's good.
Did you see the other one that we assigned to you a couple of weeks ago? The one with Michelle Yeoh in it.
I did. I was not a big fan.
You didn't like it? Okay.
Okay. So I think I was asked. I think you missed us last week or the week before or something like that. It was the week before.
Yeah, I did. I had to. Yeah.
So I did give a full report on the homework at that time. I will say it felt like the Action Pack series, like Hercules and Xena, like growing up when, like it felt like that. It was very soap opera filmed. It was almost like 60 frames per second filmed kind of thing. Very like shiny.
Okay.
I'm not against it, but it was also like. Oh, San Diego. Oh, somebody. Sorry if you were trying to contact me, you got to call me out. Say KI6NAZ, but somebody was just on Simplex right now, and they were really loud, and I heard San Diego, but I don't know that that's the station. Anyway, I don't know. It was okay. I don't know.
Okay. I mean, that's fair. I just I enjoyed it, but then I like. I like the kind of those kinds of fantasy things. That's my thing. That's always been my thing. And good ones are very hard to find.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I'm very excited to see what Henry Cavill comes up with if they do a 40K series.
Oh yeah, jeez.
Holy smokes. I don't even know how that I don't even know how you turn that into a show. I don't even know what you do. I don't even know how you approach that material.
Well,
I don't
lots
even
of
know.
titties with Slanesh. Lots and lots of titties with Slanesh and killing Xena.
Oh, Levi,
No.
you know 40K too well. You son of a bitch.
Well, the
I
other
mean, do we want to explore the like ultra fascism of the God Emperor and all the like hypocrisy, or just titties and Slanesh?
No, but I mean, like that's kind of the joke. Is like, how do you start it? Do you start it after the fall of the Empire? Do you start it like Horus Heresy? Like, I don't know. How do you even approach that material? And even if you approach it from the Imperium, like you could come at it from Eldar. Even like predating the Imperium, like I don't even know how you would do that. I could geek out for the next like 3 hours if we don't stop this, because it could go forever if we're talking about 40K. You could just do a series on the Primarchs alone.
Well, just understand, right, that first of all, Henry Cavill is very familiar with all of the things that go into
He's
production.
An uber geek. He's an
and
uber
he also
geek.
knows what you can and can't do when you're showing something on television, right?
I agree.
Plus,
yes.
he knows everything about 40K. So,
I know.
Wow, what
a
perfect storm!
I know. Like, there was a talk show where he was on where he was looking up and he was looking at the lamp and he was like, "Oh, that's like this Imperium space station that I didn't even know the name of." And he was like, "Oh yeah, that's very much like this weird Imperium space station."
Fortress.
The what's it? What?
It's a Blackstone Fortress.
The Blackstone Fortress. That's right. And he was like, "Yeah, this looks just like the Blackstone Fortress." Everybody's like, "What the hell are you talking about?" I was like, "Oh my god, this guy is the biggest nerd."
Yes.
Like I don't even know where he could take it, but he is literally a leading man, and he could bring nerddom to like a mass amount of people. I'm
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's always been my hope that somebody that you really, had a passion for a franchise would come in and really have control over what's actually shown.
Okay, all right.
And anyway.
Sorry,
Yeah, go
Don.
ahead.
Okay,
No,
Robert Christian in the chat. You have to write your question with the word question in it or at me, or you just wait for somebody to like bring it up. So I'm looking at the chat right now. If you want to ask your question, go ahead. I've literally scanned up a couple times, and I feel like all I've seen is you complaining your question has not been answered, but not actually seeing the question. So I'm happy to try, or we're all happy to try. If you want to drop it, go for it. But I'm literally looking up the line now. Okay, I think I found it. Is it possible to upload Log of the World to GS? Or from GS? What is GS? Is it possible to upload to Logbook of the World from GS? GT. Grid Tracker. I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
You can go Logbook of the World to Grid Tracker, but you can't go Grid Tracker to Logbook of the World because you need the
right. You don't have the key set up.
6 files.
Right.
Yeah.
So you can
Grid Tracker to QRZ to Logbook of the World.
Yeah, so I'm literally showing the settings for it right now, so you can click it. Oh no, it does have TQSL path. So yeah, you can. If you have a TQSL set up, then yeah, you can. You just have to point it to your TQSL file. And then it's going to use you will have to log in with the TQSL password and then have your station set up. So it sounds like they've added that. That's an addition, I think, that they've done to Grid Tracker. So what I did to get to this, I'll go back. Click on the little gear here. I think you might know where settings is on Grid Tracker. If you click on that, and you go to LOTW under the logging tab right here, and you click log, ? You will have to log in with your login and password and point to a TQSL path with the password for TQSL and select the station. I think that's it. I don't know why you needed to wait that long for me to get to that point. That was like a 3-click answer. You could have just poked around and figured that out. Is that... Go try it. Let me know.
Like, don't push to TQSL every time you log, because Logbook of the World's already dying. Don't kill it anymore, please.
I wouldn't use Grid Tracker to do that. I would use your logger to do that.
Yeah, log for OM, it will not upload to Logbook of the World until you shut it down. And then when you shut it down, it takes everything that's been done since the last time it was run or the last time it sent TQSL and dumps all of that in one shot. And I think that's the right way to do it.
And Christian, I'm not trying to slam you or anything, but hear me out. Like I think I only saw the one question. Okay, so I apologize. That's on me. But I saw a lot of complaints that I wasn't answering your question. But then when we got to the solution for your question, that was literally me just clicking around a little bit. That doesn't seem like that's that difficult to figure out on your own.
When Grid Tracker logs, does it create ADF file or ADIF file?
I don't know because
I don't either.
So I don't think so, but
because he says he has tons of contacts on it, and I
don't think it's storing them for them. I don't think it's storing them for you. I don't think Grid Tracker does that. Grid Tracker is kind of like the routing tissue, the connective tissue for logging. It's not storing the logging for you.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain that Grid Tracker is literally just like a add-on. You just kind of jam it in the back door, but it's never actually logging.
Right.
Yeah.
So
because WSJTX already does that. It's got a log.
So again, above me here, if you go to the settings and you click on the logging tab, these are all the log software that it supports: QRZ, Club Log, HRD Log, Cloud Log. I don't even know what that is. EQSL, sure. LOTW. I don't want that. Turn that off. N1MM, Log for OM, N3FJP, which I have on, DX Keeper, HRD Logbook. So those are all the logs that it supports. You should set one of those logging softwares up. For instance, N1MM, I believe, is totally free. So you should go download that, install it, set that all up, and then connect Grid Tracker, or you can do it straight from WSJTX to port the logs into N1MM.
What's the one at the top that says local files?
That's so when you can port it in. So every time on startup, because Grid Tracker doesn't actually save anything, you point it to like a master copy of your logbook, and it just automatically updates every time you turn Grid Tracker on.
Yeah, and then the only logbook I would imagine that you would point from that would be WSJTX. But again, I mean, because he says he's collected a bunch of them to Grid Tracker, and I don't think that's possible. They must be in WSJTX logs.
Yes,
and
I
you
would
can
so.
take that and upload it in its entirety through TQSL to Logbook of the World.
Yeah. So good news, you didn't lose anything. WSJTX kept all your logs this entire time. You can go to WSJTX and you go to File, Open Log Directory, and here's my log directory. So all your logs are here. They're stored locally, so you're not going to miss out. And that's what you should do. So I would recommend, if you made a lot of WSJTX logs, I still recommend getting a proper logging software. N1MM, again, you can download it and set it up, install that, and then port all your WSJTX logs into N1MM and have them mirror each other, which is easy to do. Then you'd be good to go. So
Log for OM is also free and works really well for that. But again,
fair warning about N1MM, unless you're contesting, it leaves a lot to be desired. It's kind of bare bones for non-contesting. Like the comment section on a general log is very, very slim.
Well, it's free. It's free. That was kind of the point I was going for. It's free.
Yeah, Log for OM is free as well, but the thing is, it's Windows only, but it has a lot of really rich features in it. I actually prefer it to HRD.
There's also Swisslog, which is free, but very weird, but has way too many features. That thing is weird.
And by the way, Swisslog and Log4OM both support TCI, and everybody should be switching to TCI. The hell with all of this custom cat controlled protocols and all that stuff. Gosh, that we need to get rid of that.
All right, everybody, I'm going to head out.
All right.
I'm going to go hang out with the family. I don't know if they're still here. It's like 10 o'clock, so they're probably rocking out of here pretty fast. But I will talk to you again next week. This was a crazy week on YouTube. I think I posted a video every day of the week, including the Ham Nation live stream is one of those videos. So pretty wild. I won't be doing that next week. It's a byproduct of Hamcation. So thanks for riding along with me, and I will talk to you again on the Discord. Take it easy on the Discord.
73, Josh. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, there we go. I'm going to wrap things up here. So appreciate you watching. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'm going to be taking my truck and carrying things all over town. My wife has got big plans for me tomorrow. So the truck bed's going to be full as I drag things all over the place tomorrow. So I hope I don't blow up, because who knows what the Ford the Ford problems will cause for me. But until I talk to you again, 73. Enjoy the memes. I'll play you out. See ya. Oh man, I hope I wake up and I'm not sick anymore. 73, everybody. Take it easy.